The American Le Mans Series. Cool cars, world-class drivers, premier road courses. Born in France in 1923 with the first running of the 24 Hours of Le Mans, the ALMS is the glamour, the glory, and the grueling reality of sports car racing. European style with American attitude. Drivers from around the world strut their speed, skill, and endurance. 4 separate classes racing on the track at the same time. It is the chain that connects the new and the faithful sports car fans of an extraordinary endurance racing tradition. This is the American Le Mans Series.
There are 3 races left in the 2005 American Le Mans Series. For the prototype championship contenders, the time to make their move is now. Winning is the only option. Second place could mean elimination from contention.
In the Prototype 1 category, teammates Emanuele Pirro and Frank Biela have pushed their way to the top of the point standings in the number 2 ADT champion Audi. 3 straight wins have propelled them to a 15-point lead in the series standings. Dyson teammates Andy Wallace and Chris Dyson are second and third. The real pressure is on the second champion car, with defending series champions JJ Leto and Marco Werner, as well as Dyson drivers James Weaver and Butch Leitzinger. They are in a must-win situation. Anything other than victory could virtually eliminate either from the title chase. Now in the smaller Prototype 2 standings, Chris McMurray and Jeff Bucknam should battle to the wire with Clint Field. The Mazda tandem of Guy Cosmo and Jamie Barker third. Field must rebound this weekend from a horrendous fire at Road America. But this is a team that has come back numerous times in the past, and they came through in qualifying again as Clint Field maintained the team's unbeaten record in qualifying at races they have entered.
In the production classes, the pressure is just as intense. Corporate image hangs in the balance of each race day decision and performance. Add to that personal interest squad battles, and you have a recipe for action.
Only 3 points separate Corvette teammates Ron Fellows and Johnny O'Connell from Oliver Gavin and Olivier Beretta. Word has it that this once friendly rivalry has turned even more intense. And now the Corvette camp has even more to worry about. In qualifying yesterday, Terry Borcheller in the number 63 of Simcoe Saleen grabbed the team's first pole of the season. And this was the first time that anyone other than Corvette has qualified on the pole in the last 16 races. Making things even more interesting was that Andrea Bertolini was able to split the 2 Corvettes and qualify third in his Maserati. In GT2, Timo Bernhard and Romain Dumas and their Alex Job Porsche rode a 4-race win streak to the series point lead. But last time out at Road America, second place Patrick Long and Jorg Bergmeister of Peterson White Lightning claimed their second win of the season and now trail Bernhard and Dumas by only 2 points. In qualifying, those 2 teams continued their battle, with Dumas giving the 23 car its 4th straight pole position and 5th of the season. But the big surprise in qualifying was the 2 Panos entries. The 51 and 50 will roll off 3rd and 4th in class.
And all of those developments and possibilities will unfold on one of the most daunting, fast, and exciting tracks in North America. Welcome to the 8th round of the American Le Mans Series here at Mosport International Raceway near the great city of Toronto. Hi everybody, I'm Greg Kramer, joined once again by Dorsey Schrader. And folks, the biggest piece of news we have to give you right off the top of the show is that the length of this race, normally set for 2 hours and 45 minutes, has been reduced to 2 hours and 30 minutes. And by way of explanation, our ALMS president and CEO, Scott Atherton, has offered up this quote: "During a week when fuel shortages have been in the news, the ALMS has not been immune. Like the rest of the USA and Canada, we are having to share the sacrifice while we all face these fuel shortages. We view this as an isolated situation and do not at this time expect situations like this to occur at our final 2 races." So there you have the story on that development. But Dorsey, it's also got to affect strategy for the teams. And as we look at our Porsche keys to the race, it's topped by fuel strategy.
And absolutely right there, Greg. Taking 15 minutes off this race puts some of these teams close to their fuel window. No one can make it all the way on one stop, at least not in P1, but it allows them to maybe short fuel one of their cars, send it out as a rabbit, see who can catch it. Now, if that's done, we'll see that during the race. setup on the race car is very critical. This is a tough place to pass. The more downforce you have, the easier it is. The more downforce you have, the worse the fuel mileage. And thirdly, taking those risks in traffic, is it worth it? The reward, well, you could win, you could lose.
Certainly going to make for an interesting race as it unfolds. Now, we've had other developments. One of them, some might say is a surprise, others might say it was inevitable. For more on that, let's meet our third pit reporter this afternoon, Chris Devoda.
The number 20 has led the field to green twice before this season, but those quick laps belong to Andy Wallace. This time, it's Chris Dyson's turn on the pole, so kind of walking around with a little bit more of a strut because of that qualifying lap?
Not really. You know, it's very happy to have both cars on the front row. You know, the team has been here all week. We did a tire test at the beginning of the week, so, you know, I think we're all very happy to be starting on the front row, and it's good for the championship. That's really our focus.
You guys have been so close all year. Is this the car that's going to seal the deal and get that first win?
We'd like to think so. You know, certainly for Andy's sake, he's our leader in the points, and I'm going to be trying my best out there to get him up there. And I know James and Butch are going to be fighting their corner well. So it's been a tough race all year with the Audis, but you know, I'm pretty confident.
Well, they have been the model of consistency. 5 podiums, all second-place finishes. They are looking for that first win. Now we go to Brian.
Terry Borcheller qualified his number 63 Asimco Saleen on the pole. Terry, and a great job for you. I know it's the first pole for Asimco Motorsports. It's a good qualifying car. Was it a good race car?
Well, we'll find out pretty quickly. I think it will be. Jim Bell, Joe LaJoy, and Derek Hartland have worked real hard together as an engineering team, and all the guys too. You know, they've just really put forth their best foot, and it's been showing up in the car. So I'm just happy to have a real good qualifying car, and I think we'll have a good race car.
Well, they think they have a good race car. Asimco Motorsports has never won an ALMS event. They will give it all their best today. For more on P2, let's check in with Calvin Fish.
Well, Brian, no surprise to see Clint Field on the pole here in LMP2, but Clint, probably a bigger surprise to see the car actually on the grid today. Massive fire at Road America. The roller coaster season continued. How much work did the team have to put in to get the car here?
I tell you what, these guys have done a great job. I mean, back at the shop, they just put in tremendous hours and getting all the lines, all the body work, and everything back together. You know, I mean, I said to everyone before, this car is probably better than it was before. These guys have went through everything with a fine-tooth comb. So, you know, I mean, give all the credit to those guys. I mean, I just drive the car, and it's great to have guys like this.
Well, Clint is looking for his second victory here at Mosport, having won here last year with Robin Liddell.
Well, and if ever there was evidence that it is a team sport, what that team achieved is amazing. Let's take a look at our Michelin field summary. You take a look at the number of cars that these various tire manufacturers have in the field today, and these championships are very important indeed. Michelin has won the P1 and GT1 tire manufacturers title already. And now, folks, it's time for us to go trackside for racing's most famous command.
One Racing is pleased to be part of the Mosport Labor Day Grand Prix weekend. On behalf of Mobile One and all our customers, drivers, start your engines!
And the engine springing to life as we are about to set sail here at Mosport. And I'll tell you what, Dorsey, sail is something that we are going to be enjoying right here. Watch this, the Pirelli flyover, courtesy of the Canadian National Parachute Team. And these folks were absolutely spectacular, both in their showmanship and their abilities. It was a treat. We've enjoyed it, and a massive crowd on hand enjoyed it as well. Speed Channel's coverage of the American Le Mans Series is brought to you by High Endurance Oils from Mobil, the oil that's changing oil. By Porsche, there is no substitute. And by Klein Tools, tools worth asking for. Ask your tool supplier today for Klein. We're back, everybody, and Dorsey, this is a track that for the purists, for the racing fans, simply saying Mosport sometimes, the hairs go up on the back of the head. Tell us why.
I call it old school racing. Mosport, a very, very fast driver's type of track. The corners are extremely quick and narrow. Not a lot of room for side-by-side racing. Not a lot of runoff on the exit. If you get off, buddy, you're staying off. That being said, the best pace to pass up the end of the back straightaway. Andretti straightaway into the S's turn 8. Now, with a lot of downforce, you can get creative. But will that pay off? We'll sure find out.
Well, you talked about it in the Porsche Keys to the Race. If you go that way with the fuel gambles everybody's taken, it ups that fuel consumption as well. Well, let's head down to Calvin Fish, who's standing by with some information on the Audi camp.
Well, Greg, whilst the number 2 leads the Drivers' Championship, JJ Leto and Marco Werner are playing catch-up. Different situation to last year, JJ. Every race counts. 3 left. You have to win today, I assume.
Well, we're supposed to win the last one already, and that was really the race where everything would have turned one way or the other way. And we really lost it badly over there. So we're 24 points behind the leading car. There's still 66 points available, but everybody knows that Audis are so reliable that being outside podium, is very, very difficult. Even if we win the last 3 races and the other car finishes in 3rd place, there's still 3 points on front of us at the end of the season. So it's going to be tough, but most important is that it's Audi and Champion Racing who's winning the championship this year. So we're trying to do a team effort.
JJ talked about reliability. In fact, the number 1 car had to change the motor after the morning warm-up, and when they did the reconnaissance lap, still a misfire there. They hope they've fixed it as they get ready for green. Let's go down to Brian for more news on inter-team rivalry at Corvette.
Calvin, there's definitely inter-team rivalry down here as well. Oliver, Gavin, I know you and Olivier Beretta want to win this championship, but to do it, you're going to have to knock off your teammates. At what cost does this championship come?
Well, there's not going to be any knocking off going on here. It's going to be tight between the 2 cars. The 3 and the 4 car are always, very, very close. There's a very good relationship, though, between all the drivers and both cars. But here this weekend, it's got really tight because the Saleen and the Maserati are right there. In fact, the Saleen got the pole in the class. The Maserati's only like half a tenth behind me in qualifying. So I think it's all to play for today, and I think we should be looking forward for a great race.
Well, they're definitely looking forward for a great race. We saw great racing at Road America. We've actually seen it all season long. A lot of equality between the 2. Each team has 3 wins, but Johnny O'Connell, I know you guys want to win your 3rd championship together, you and Ron, but to do it, you're going to have to beat your teammate, and I know you guys battled hard at Road America. When do you give up the fight? When do you keep fighting?
We're always fighting. This is a difficult weekend, of course. We're really, everyone at Corvette Racing and the series, I think, is really more thinking about what has happened down in the Gulf Coast. So, we got to focus on what we got to do our job, race hard like we always do, and let the chips fall where they may.
Well, these driver championships, obviously important and serious business, but there's a lot more serious business going on in America. And for more on that, let's check in with Krista.
That's right, mentioning the Gulf Coast region, American Le Mans Series flagger Dennis Paul, he's been paying special attention to what's going on in the news. That's because New Orleans is, or at least used to be, his home as well. Now, he and his wife actually evacuated a week ago before the storm hit, heading up to Baton Rouge. They obviously have not been back to New Orleans. A neighbor called them and said, unbelievably, their home is still standing. They are one of the few that haven't lost their home, but obviously they've lost their location. They will be staying in Baton Rouge for the time being. And Dennis told me, he said he's kind of torn being here because obviously he wants to be back in Louisiana with his family, but he is glad to be with his other family, the American Le Mans Series. He says he is one of the lucky ones.
And you see there the numbers of a couple of options for donations. We'll speak more on that. Meanwhile, we are green here in Mosport. We are underway, and from the outside, James Weaver sweeps across the nose. Boy, he used that outside to great effect.
I think that was a planned maneuver. If I was going to guess, I would say that was already discussed. Chris Dyson goes to let James have that. I talked about half fuel in the car and sending out a rabbit. I see a rabbit.
All right, well, I mean, nobody better to go out there and run fast than James Weaver, clearly, and jumped on it. So Weaver out front, that is the Team Dyson car, and then it is the number 1 is slotted into that 3rd spot. Marco Werner starting today, and some concerns there about that engine. So far, looks good.
They changed the engine because of a misfire that it had. It actually showed up on their telemetry. They decided to pull the thing out, and that's unprecedented, I should say. These Audis never have that problem. They put a new one in, and they feel maybe they have another misfire. During that course of time, while we were just watching the national anthem, they changed every electronic bit they could.
And Werner looking to maybe try something here. It does. Gets underneath Chris Dyson. Marco Werner quickly takes the ADT champion number 1 into the 2nd spot. And I think maybe the idea there is that they did not want to let Weaver get too far gone, you think?
Could be that, or it could be they're on a similar strategy. I mean, maybe, and we don't know this as it plays out, maybe there's 2 rabbits now. Oh, that's a debris flag or a caution flag for oil you saw waved right there. That means something's either in the racetrack. It could be slippery or it could be a piece of a race car or something. The drivers, it's just all it is a observation flag.
Basically means something on the surface, the condition of the surface has changed. There is your LMP2 leader, Jeff Watkins, going through. He has got Halliday, and there is the leader in GT1. And once again, what a great story in qualifying, and having Terry Borcheler get the pole, and he is leading early in GT1.
Great job by Terry Borcheler. He did that lap when it looked easy, and I think he even called in on the radio and said, "Are you sure that's the pole?" You know, he was starting. Everybody was.
Well, Terry had said a little bit earlier, he said that this car really likes this track because it's really good on really fast approaches from braking to turn in to apex and corners. Well, that's what this track's all about.
And we should say at the last race at the Saline, as well as what we're riding on board with the Maserati right now, both had larger restrictors given to it, and they have a weight advantage on the Corvettes. This is a great racetrack to have those advantages.
Guys, the Saline very strong here. I talked to Jeff Giangrande and I said, why? Why the improvements all of a sudden? He said, we debuted a new rear wing at Road America. That helped. There's also another little kick-up spoiler on the back just underneath that rear wing, Dorsey. And he said it adds a little bit of drag, but a little bit of downforce as well. And as you well know, downforce all around this racetrack is what is key. Also a new under tray on that Saline. So they really feel like they're fine-tuning that aerodynamic package.
And it's nice to see a team like that not give up the ghost, you know. They really struggled to the mid part of the season. Now it looks like maybe all their work paying off.
That makes sense. A lot of the concerns they said the back end of the car was just too happy, and they now seem to have gotten it under control. Now, speaking of control, we go to the division. There is Alex Jobe, car of the Hyatt Bell Micro entry, number 23. Just a great qualifying run once again. In fact, the only class of the four here to break the existing track record. Romain Dumas doing the job and doing it exceptionally well. York Bergmeister was close, about a 10th.
Beginning of the year, these Porsches also have undergone a increasing amount of development as it went on. They've really got fast here about the last two races.
There is the number 31 entry in the hands of York Bergmeister, who was so spectacular for 2 hours almost in America, and he's got the nod to start here once again as we hop on board with Bergmeister, and you see one of the opportunities for doing a little to help out the hurricane relief when we go to that onboard shot. So they were going to carry it there to remind everybody about what's really important, and it's a pretty class act. And here was the story that Mark talked about early. In qualifying, these two Panos cars were there, and in fact, in practice, the 51 car led.
That's Marino Franchitti driving right there, and we've heard reports at the start that Marino Franchitti got together, a little contact there with the 45 flying Lucas car of Johannes von Overbeck. So these guys racing pretty hard on the get-go.
I think they're just excited. I mean, of the two cars, obviously the 50 car in the hands of Oberlin and Liddell got the lead to Atlanta. Generally been a little bit quicker, and it's just been a development issue, and they finally got these cars, one, fairly equal, and two, some of these problems solved. And I think for certainly Marino, they wanted to get out there and prove what this car was capable of doing, and Brian Sellers was very fast in that car early on. So we're very early in the going here at this 8th round of the American Le Mans Series, and as I said before, a monstrous crowd is enjoying the action here at Mosport. Hey everybody, Speed Channel is putting you in the director's chair. Get signed up for Speed Onboard Pass and take control of the race. If you're a fan of ALMS, Grand Am, or IROC, then you need to get the Speed Onboard Pass right now. For only $4.99 per race, you get multiple race cameras streaming live, plus live timing and scoring, and exclusive live pit-to-car audio. And Speed Onboard Pass lets you chat with fellow race fans while the race is going on. So take control with Speed Onboard Pass. Log on to speedtv.com and sign up now. Now, in the most recent rounds of races, it seems as the number 2 cars become more and more in contention in the points championship, it seems there's been more and more intense competition between the team cars. They're not running real close together right now, but when they have been recently, it's been interesting. At Portland, check this out, a bang right there as Werner turned into Biela. Biela not very happy about it and let him know. Then, most recently at Road America, contact as well on the front straight.
I don't even understand, with team cars, why to get into that kind of situation, because I have the inside line and I was ahead, so why even to try to go outside, because there's no way, nobody can do it there, not even Pirro.
Well, and there you hear it. I mean, he was a bit surprised, and there were some extenuating circumstances in that case, but without doubt, Calvin, they have been fighting intensely. The question is, how much does the one car have? How's things looking?
Well, they're looking very good indeed. The big question mark before the green was, of course, that engine change. The fact that Marco misfiring on his installation lap. They changed everything, the fuse panel, the ECU, the plugs on that motor, and they thought it would be okay, and right now they're giving it a thumbs up in terms of the engine is running fine. The other major change was made last night in terms of the setup. JJ Leto said this car is way much too understeer. We're not going to win the race with this setup. They made a huge change. All the suspension settings were turned over for the warm-up this morning. JJ said the car is handling beautifully, and Marco Werner is showing that right on the tail of Weaver right now.
Of course, in a racetrack like Mosport, understeer is really bad, because what that means is on these high-speed corners, the car refuses to turn as much as it needs to make it to the corner. Now, from the driver's seat, what you have to do if the car won't turn is simple. You have to back off the throttle, allow some weight to transfer to the front wheels to get the grip. What's that mean? Well, you got to go slower.
And Marco Werner right now doing a nice job. We were watching while Calvin was talking some of the moves in traffic here, outside, inside. How much can you go offline here when you get into packs like that?
I think right now these guys with the big grip can do it, but as the race wears on and the more rubber and the debris gets to the outside, you have to watch it, particularly right here. Down in turn 2, you get out a little bit wide there sometimes and you just don't come back.
You just saw Weaver just stick it right around the outside of the 31 West Virginia Casino Porsche. And that is the kind of move that James Weaver will love to make. There goes Werner right by, trying to stay with him. But one thing we've said many times, Dorsey, is Weaver's magic in traffic. You said, talking yesterday, you told me there's a reason for that sometimes.
Well, I mean, James, he experiments a little bit. There's no question about it. He'll take some risks and go to the outside. But at this racetrack, like I said, there's only one good place to pass, right here at the end of the straightaway. But if you only use that, you can only pass once a lap. You have to be a bit more creative. James takes time between his practice sessions and runs offline. He tries some experimentation. Let me try this from the outside before I have to do it.
Well, it certainly has proven to be successful. Meanwhile, we're going to go back into the GT2 division. This right now is the battle for fourth. Mike Rockenfeller in that red and black Porsche is under attack right now by the number 45. That's the Flying Lizard Racing entry. Johannes Van Overbeck behind the wheel right now. And remember, Van Overbeck led early at Road America. This car has kind of come alive just a little bit. And he and Rockenfeller are in a very strong battle right now. Right behind them is the second Alex Job car of Darren Law, who has taken over and is now partnering Ian Voss. And they came and spent a lot of time here, I guess, early in the week and did an absolutely intense job of testing. And from what I understand, they were very impressed with the job Voss did.
Greg, you know, Mike Rockenfeller won the GT2 class in Le Mans in a Porsche with Yokohama tires, exactly what they're running here. But talked to Mike the other day, and he said the tire's just really not what they're looking for here. A little softer sidewall, and they cannot run the stiff setup on that Porsche that they want. You've got to really take your time to load that tire when you get into the corner. You can't be abrupt with it, and they really like a crisp turn-in here at Mosport. So not exactly what they want, but still seem to be going pretty fast.
That's a good point, Brian. These cars, the corners here are so fast at Mosport. It's the fastest circuit that these cars run on an average lap time. 131 mile per hour record around this place. So very, very fast. These corners are really high load, lateral load on the tires. So if you have a softer sidewall, it wants to crunch it down. If you can't put the springs on, it just makes the tire more of the spring, I should say. You know, it just crunches it even worse.
It's interesting. Doug Louth, who's one of the engineers for the Corvette team, told me, he said that the top speeds here are not as fast as, say, Le Mans. He said, but it's like running the Porsche curves 5 times every lap there. These high-speed transitions back and forth. He said it can be a setup nightmare. And when you factor in, certainly the tires as well, all those setup variables really explode here. But Darren Law, not letting these two guys go.
Well, the number 24 cars really turned a page here over the last couple of weekends, a lot closer to the front runners. And one of the changes they've made is in the shock absorber department. We know that Randy Popes drove the car for the majority of the season. He's made a switch now and made way for Darren Law, and he really liked the car a little bit softer, running the Sachs, the Moton's shock absorber setup. And recently they've changed back to the Sachs setup, which is on the 23 car, and it's something that Ian Voss really enjoys. He said it has a much stiffer platform, something I'm used to with the single-seater background. And with the testing that he did here on Tuesday, he ran 320 miles, and that really did a lot for his confidence. He ran very consistent lap times, and they think he's now going to be a major force in this category with Darren.
Well, Darren's certainly giving it some hustle right now. We'll see what Ian can do. And you can see what happens for a faster car when it gets in these packs. Watching what was going on with Jeff Bucknam, well, he's got to be patient and work his way through. Welcome back, everybody. Speed Channel so strongly supports the relief efforts along the Gulf Coast for those affected by Hurricane Katrina. We briefly showed you these numbers before. We want to let you get a better look at them. For those of you wanting to help out, you can contact the American Red Cross on their website at www.redcross.org or by phone at 800-HELP-NOW, which is 800-435-7669. Now, if you prefer to donate to the Salvation Army, their website is www.salvationarmyusa.org. Their phone number for donations is 800-SAL-ARMY, which is 800-725-2769. And we can't urge you strongly enough to give freely. They really, really need it. Back in action here, great aerial shot here as we're watching your race leader, James Weaver, juke and jive through some traffic here, and in fact is coming up through the GT1 battle that is basically sitting right now at his third. You see that blue Maserati, and the last car in the sequence is the yellow Corvette in the hands of Ron Fellows right now. And watching the leaders get through, looked like there. Werner actually got through just a little bit quicker. And Weaver now coming up on second. Remember, that is Olivier Beretta right now. And there is the Maserati sitting in third, and Ron Fellows sitting in fourth, as they are also, well, it's interesting, while the overall leaders are coming up through them, they're coming up through some of the GT2 races. And look at this move down under there, as Werner ducking underneath and making the move. And through this sequence here, Fellows has been able to close up rather smartly on Andre Bertolini, who's driving that Maserati right now. Things are very close, and they've been able to gather in Beretta just a bit.
And Greg, you tried to lead me into this before. One of the things James Weaver does, looking at a race over a qualifying, is he says, you know what, I'm going to be in traffic all day. I'm going to change my gears. I'm going to gear my car lower. In other words, I'm going to pull more RPM so I get more jump off the corner. I can get by these guys. I'm on a short burst of acceleration. That's a smart thing that James Weaver taught me a long time ago. And you see it's working for him right now.
Very much so. You can see how quickly he was able to get through there as we hop on board now. The Pirelli Maserati as it hustles down into turn one right now. And the guy that's hounding him is the absolute Mosport Meister. And everybody knows that Ron Fellows is a hero here in Canada. But we thought, well, let's find out a little bit more about this Canadian icon. And Brian Till visited with him earlier.
Cat or dog? Dog. We don't have. We have kids. We have kids. Kids who want cats. Football or football? Football. Real football. Real football. Football or baseball? Oh boy, that's you know, I've really gotten to like baseball, strangely enough, the last couple of years. Baseball or hockey? Oh man, that's a. It's hockey, I'm afraid. Canadian, after all. Canadian, eh? Planes or trains? Planes. Planes or fast cars? Oh, give me a private plane and a Corvette when I land. Doesn't want much. I think a private plane and a Corvette. He's got a Corvette.
And he has got tremendous talent and an unbelievable record of achievement right here.
My teammate for many, many years, Ron Fellows. Of course, he was also my adversary when he was with Chevrolet and I was with Ford. So, but we never lost our admiration for each other's ability. He just made the pass he saw on the Maserati. Ron Fellows, a class act.
Well, he took advantage, I think, because right after we watched Weaver and Werner go through, then it was Pirro in the 2 Audi, and Chris Dyson in the 20 Audi came up through that pack as well. And I think that was what maybe opened the door, and Ron Fellows sensed the opportunity to win for it. Now the Maserati, as they catch traffic, for a moment there was thinking about it, and they are coming up on the Viper and trying to work through, and that actually gave Ron, looks like a little break.
Actually, that Corvette is so high-tech, it's got a satellite receiver on it, and he was watching our broadcast, and he was just waiting for his segment to be over to make the pass.
He was being impressed with what we were talking about. And boy, things changing up just a little bit here. Pirro continuing.
Look at the Audi.
Yeah.
Top left corner of the Audi, the fender, something flapping coming loose on that car. It could be nothing more than one of the air extractors. That's exactly what it is.
Right there, yeah, you can see it. That's, well, again, there's buildup, right? Tire buildup that comes up and it pops up every once in a while and pops those louvers loose, and that can actually affect the handling pretty significantly.
Well, it loses a little bit of downforce, actually, when they do that, but it's something that the Audis do. It could have picked up a hunk of rubber off of discarded rubber and it just chucked it right up through the top of the fender well there. You'll see it a lot, like you say. It's not a big problem as long as that's all it is.
So Pirro continuing to circulate in that third spot. Weaver, Werner, Pirro, Dyson. Well, isn't he?
But like I tell you, that's one of the things he does. He'll re-gear his car and make it so it's really quick. Now, if that's the case, he might hit the rev limiter up and down straightaway if you're being geared too tall. But when he gets in the tight spots, he can just weasel his way right through.
Well, I mean, look at the margin he's built up, and it all came in traffic. And that's one of the things he said, in theory, the Audis are stronger in traffic because of the bigger motor. So you've got to do something, and that's what James Weaver will do.
But again, remember our fuel strategy. One of the Porsche keys to the race. He might be running on less than half of the tank of fuel right now, making him considerably lighter than all the rest of these cars. We'll know that if he makes a pit stop much earlier than everyone else.
A bit more agile in traffic and able to accelerate quicker. I mean, it's just, what a great way to be able to make the plan here. Werner is just watching Weaver right now walk off into the distance.
If you look at the number 16 car, I can confirm that Weaver did start on full tank. If they're telling me the truth and just not holding their cards close to the chest, we believe that Weaver's on full tank. So he should theoretically, when we look at mileage in recent races, have a little bit better fuel mileage than the Audi and maybe stop 2 to 3 laps later. Now on the number 1 car, they're certainly in good shape, and their teammates are pushing hard already up to 3rd, and they have a very good strategy this weekend. It's called KISS. Keep it simple, stupid, and that comes from their engineer, Graham Taylor. So the Audi's chasing down the 16 car, but we think Weaver is on full gas, Dorsey.
That's pretty impressive, Calvin. If he's on full gas with the amount of lead he's able to pull, it was pretty obvious at the start that he was given the lead by Chris Dyson, and I'm sure his part in this is to be the rabbit. But if that's full fuel load, holy cow, is that fast.
Well, he said, when I talked to him last night, he said we need to have about a half second in hand over the Audis, and maybe he just decided to build that all in his stint. Here's your top 4 overall in P1. Tonight on Speed, if you can't see the Cup race at Fontana, don't worry, because NASCAR Victory Lane will break it all down for you with race day recaps and the best highlights to get you right up to date. NASCAR Victory Lane live tonight at 12 Eastern, exclusively on Speed. Back at Mosport, absolutely beautiful day, and we are watching the P2 battle, and right now it is going nicely in the hands of Mr. Bucknam in that number 10. Miracle Motorsports Courage. He's just putting the Mazda down a lap, so it gives you an idea of the pace Bucknam is running right now and having a very, very good race. This team has proven to be very quick, but they have had some moments, but it all came good for them at Road America, where they earned another big win. And I think they're floating with the plan now right now and really like what's unfolding right now. So Bucknam doing a nice job. Now you can see just in the back, you just saw Liz Halliday in the Intersport Lola. That's the margin right now in P2.
Well, one thing that the number 10 car has been fighting all season long is an inherent understeer condition in that car. What Kuma have done here, they've brought their latest generation of front tire to the track. It's a little bit wider, just about 10 millimeters wider. Same compound as they were running before, but that gives them a bigger footprint on the front end of the car, helps with the understeer. The other thing they've done is actually lowered the rear wing. We talked about this at Road America. They thought it was creating too much drag and losing fuel mileage. That was not the case, so they have indeed dropped the rear wing element about 6 inches. That takes the leverage off the rear end of the car, gives them some adjustability, and makes the car a lot more balanced, and we're seeing that in the race right now. Car running very well.
And you think that would also give them a little bit more straight line speed, which is not a bad thing. And certainly at Road America, and it can't hurt them here as long as it doesn't give up too much aero.
Yeah, and for a company like Kuma, who's just got into this type of racing, just developed the tire, this is a second generation tire for those guys. Of course, they're going to be providing P1 tires next year too. There is now the second place. That's for this Halliday. This was the car that burned up so badly at Road America. Good job by these guys to get it back together in just a very short period of time. It was a big fire.
Yeah, Liz was the one on board at that time. Currently, she lives in Framham, England, and she's running over in Europe. She runs Lister Storms as a factory driver in the FIA GT Championship. The good news is, effective at Road America, the deal was put together that she's going to run this car for the remainder of the season. And I think you're going to see her just more and more time in this car is just going to make her quicker and quicker and quicker. And this very, very exotic Lola is quick.
Did a great job in qualifying. Qualifying second was really just a little about a 1/10 of a second off the speed. Not bad at all. And the fire that they had, of course, was caused by a fuel filter that became loose. Actually, it became detached, and the fuel line just sprayed the whole engine compartment completely full of gasoline. It went up big.
So Halliday just trying to stay close to Bucknam right now and doing a nice job in working through traffic. Now, the number 19 entry is the EFC Systems, Vanderster Racing, Lola, and they had a problem very early in the race, Dorsey, and they're actually in the, well, they're in the pits. They went behind the wall briefly, and they were working on it. And right here you watch it, and it goes behind the wall. So they tried to make the fix in pit lane and eventually said, nope, it's done. And they've gone behind the wall and are working on it. But they had a very impressive run at Road America. Tough to see them have this problem this early on.
Yeah, it looked like there was somebody working on the AER engine. You saw when he pulled around the wall, it was smoking out the tailpipe. That's good. GT2, as always, there's a big race going on here, riding on board with Bergmeister. You go with Bergmeister. You're looking right up ahead there. These guys qualified something like 2/1000ths of a second apart.
This is about the margin.
Yeah,
the difference was.
Yeah, about 2,000 of a second apart.
Unbelievable. I mean, Dumas put in a lap, but Bergmeister set a time a tenth away and then decided, you know what, we're not going to push anymore. Do we start first or second? Is that a big deal? Save the tires for the race. And right now, he is all over Dumas.
Well, saving tires may be exactly what they're doing right now, Greg. I just checked in with Patrick Long. They believe that the 23 car is running a softer compound Michelin tire. And Patrick said, we're going to honk them, we're going to push them, we're going to make them burn that car down. We're going to make them use up the tires on it. The 31 car running the harder compound Michelin tire. So right now, it's all attack mode, and they're going to see if they can wear out the tires on the 23.
Of course, a softer tire allows you two things. It allows you more grip, and it wears the tire out quicker. It also operates at a lesser degree of temperature. Outside ambient temperatures up today. And as long as Bergmeister keeps the pressure on in the brake zones in the corner, the tires on the car should start going off. The 23 should go off. Dumas should start sliding around, and York should be able to pounce.
I think you bring up a very good point, because all the forecasts here that we saw earlier in the weekend were for today, if 66, 67, maybe Fahrenheit for highs, it's above that, and that may be what the strategy was for Alex Job. And boy, I'll tell you what, if that is indeed the case, and the Peterson White Lightning team read it that beautifully, this will be interesting. And once again, you see the leaders overall working through the GT2 battle. Here are your 4 class leaders here at Mosport. Hi, everybody. Once again, we'd like to remind you of the numbers that you can contact for some hurricane relief for those affected by Hurricane Katrina. If it is your interest to donate to the Red Cross, their website is www.redcross.org, or by phone at 800-HELP-NOW. That's 800-435-7669. If you'd rather donate to the Salvation Army, their website again, www.salvationarmyusa.org. Their phone number is 800-SAL-ARMY or 800-725-2769. Now, there's a very interesting development that's unfolding here among the teams in terms of some relief for those victims. Let's get down to Chris DeVoto, who's with ALMS President Scott Atherton.
That's right. The ALMS obviously taking part in the giving. Scott, explain to us how you guys are doing this.
Well, as we're racing in Canada this weekend, we realize that there's a lot of people back in the States that are hurting, that have been affected by the hurricane. And we gave our teams the opportunity to donate their winnings from this weekend. And it was overwhelming, the response we've had. And then Don Panos, who's the founder of the American Le Mans Series, and his wife Nancy have made the gesture of matching any of the donations. We also have our IMSA officials, all of which who are professionals, have many of them have donated their fees for this weekend. So collectively, it's going to be a big number.
It absolutely is, and obviously we are being affected by everything that's going on with Hurricane Katrina and the aftermath, including fuel. We talked about it at the top of the race, a little bit at the top of the show. How is that affecting the race today?
Well, I think the headlines, second only to the hurricane, are the gas shortage that has impacted the whole northern hemisphere, it seems like. So in light of that, we've agreed with our teams that we would shorten the race by 15 minutes today. We shortened some of the practice and the pre-race segments. So while it doesn't seem like a tremendous amount, it really does add up when you look at the number of cars and the type of consumption that occurs.
All right, thanks a lot, Scott.
Everybody doing what they can, and that is very special indeed. So thanks to ALMS and everything they're doing, all the teams, the officials, it's a great story. We go back now to our GT2 battle, and it remains very, very close. Dumas has opened it up in a couple of spots here to just a smidge over a second, and then it drops right back down to half again.
course, we should say, too, the fuel that these race cars burn has really nothing to do at all with the fuel that you burn in your street car. They're not the same by any means.
Yeah, you see it again, some of the overall leaders working through, and when you've got two cars battling for position as Chris Dyson comes up upon them, got to be a little bit more careful, I would think, when you're streaming by somebody.
Well, those two guys have right to the racetrack, and they're racing one another in class, and you, as Chris Dyson, coming up to lap them, need to be a bit cognizant of the fact that, you know, you've got the faster car, and the responsibility of passing is on you.
Now, fortunately for Chris, at this point, those two cars separated by about as much of a gap as we've seen for a little bit, and he was able to sneak through very smartly. Here's the battle right now for 6th in the GT2 division. Mike Rockenbauer, we heard the report about those tires, and it looks like those tires maybe just not quite right here right now. Here's an opportunity. Robin Liddell in the Payhouse looked like he may have had a shot at getting a tow from that vet. Didn't work.
That's exactly what he did. Robin Liddell saw the faster vet coming. As soon as it cleared him, he tucked behind it to get a little extra help.
Dorsey ducked in behind it. He needed that draft. The one thing that the Panos guys have said is, look, we've improved this car. We've got better rear-end grip than we've had in the past. We feel good about the handling, the mechanical grip. But right now, we are getting eaten alive down the straightaway. I just checked in with them. They said, we're running well through the infield, but the Porsches are walking away from us down the straightaway. So any chance they get, they're going to see if they can't get a draft off of one of those faster cars.
And you take a look at the frontal area of the Porsche, and that there behind you, the Panos from behind it. And obviously the Panos are much wider nose, much more wider windshield and roof structure too. All of that adds to the drag and takes away from the top end speed.
Yeah, one of the stories with the Panos team is when they came up here now to Canada, and this is located in the Toronto area, a company that's been working with them all season long, Multimatic, they're just gurus in the suspension department, and they took the cars to that company's shop, and they went through that car, worked on it, tweaked a few things, brought it to the track, and it was a huge transformation.
Earlier on, like Brian Till said, that rear end was a little bit too happy, of course, which means it was trying to spin out on it. They fixed that problem. Look at this GT2 battle hour. Now the lead car's passing the second car, the 79 on the left is getting lapped. That put the 23, which is lead Dumas, and Jorg Bergmeister putting on quite a show right now.
It is a great race. They just got by Sugden in the J3 Motorsport entry, but in doing so, obviously, Dumas lost a little bit of that lead. And this is exactly what Bergmeister wants, is if he can easily get back up to him and start hounding him again, use those tires up.
And remember, Jorg Bergmeister, like you said, he's under the attack mode to keep the pressure on, blow the tires off on Romain Dumas. And the way to do that is to run him deep in the brake zone and push him in the middle of the corner. When you get the apex, try to just really make him run too hard to use those tires.
Remember from the top of the show, folks, you are looking at the leader and second in points, and that is 2-point spread. Meanwhile, Dyson in early.
They are in early. Chris Dyson reported he had a lot of pickup on the tires. He was losing performance. Remember, with the shorter race distance, the window for a two-stopper really starts relatively early, about 30 minutes in here. So Andy Wallace is going to take over. What a remarkable performance by young American Chris Dyson in qualifying. Taking it to the old man James Weaver and beating him in the same equipment is certainly something to talk about, particularly here at one of the most daunting, the fastest racetrack on the ALMS calendar here at Mosport Park. Bit of a delay here on the left front. Looks like the wheels aren't straight, and there is a problem. Now it's the cylinder.
Air's off on the regulator.
The air cylinder, the regulator was turned off, so he had no power to that left front gun, and now they're in a little bit of a quandary here. They've lost their synchronization, and it doesn't take much.
Good check, Andy.
This is like a synchronized ballet when they try and get this together, and right now it's gone wrong, and they're losing vital seconds here in the pit stop.
Well, Calvin, your microphone picked up the fact that that cylinder was dead because that air impact camera went to nothing. Of course, we can hear it. The mechanic cannot hear it. It took them a while to figure out what the problem was. It's going to cost them dearly. Now, the pickup on the tires that Calvin was talking about is on the outside of the racetrack. The tires, and these race tires are like gumballs. And when they go out there, they pick up the discarded rubber you see laying around, like right there in that picture, and then it gets stuck to the tire, and you lose all your grip. That's what Chris was talking about.
Well, Calvin was talking about the speed he showed. His racecraft and strategies, he calls a lot of the shots for that team, is superb as well. Great call. We'll be right back. Positions are open at Speed Channel for directors because we want to put you in the director owner's chair. Get signed up for Speed Onboard Pass and take control of the race. If you're a fan of ALMS, Grand Am, or IROC, then you need to get the Speed Onboard Pass right now. For only $4.99 per race, you get multiple race cameras streaming live, plus live timing and scoring, and exclusive live pit-to-car audio. And Speed Onboard Pass lets you chat with fellow race fans all while the race is going on. So take control with Speed Onboard Pass. Log on to speedtv.com and sign up now. We are on board here, and we've been enjoying some tremendous onboard shots. Looking back from James Weaver, and that's the margin right now. First and second overall, about a second, but not long ago it was quite a bit larger than that, and it became much smaller, and it was traffic that played the key here. Now watch right here. Well, he stayed out of the way, so Werner able to sneak through, but Weaver gets blocked. But watch this. Werner had been badly held up a couple corners back, and Weaver had a big margin. But Dorsey, watch what happens here.
One of the places you can't get held up almost crashes with Romain Dumas as they head down turn 4. There's not much room for 2 cars there, folks, I got to tell you. But that really slowed and broke the momentum of James Weaver. That's all it took for the Audi to catch up.
And from about 3 seconds in hand at the end of that lap, it was under half a second. It was that close. Meanwhile, the car that stopped early for the Dyson team, the driver is with Cal.
Well, the poll said it was Chris Dyson. The team thought it was pickup on the tires, Chris, but it may have been something different.
My car was down on pressure. It was a slow puncture. It just kept getting worse and worse. On full tanks, it wasn't as bad, but once the fuel started to burn off, I knew that I had to come in and pit. And, you know, the pickup has been awful here all week, but, you know, it was worse than that. They were starting to pick up a bounce, and, you know, it was just undrivable. So we put Andy in the car, and, you know, hopefully the race will come back to us.
The shorter race distance, I assume you're in a window now where you'll be able to make it on one more stop?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the guys have the fuel economy all plotted out, but unfortunately, you know, we lost a lot of time in that first run, and it was really, I think, just because the right front was giving us trouble.
You can tell he's very frustrated, very unhappy. He was storming around this pit box when he came in, Greg.
Well, that, and then, of course, the problem they had in the stop itself. In fact, that didn't help, and as a result, they've gone down a lap. So they're going to need a little bit of help in terms of some strategy happening.
And slow punctures are really hard to detect versus a bit of tire fill up because you lose grip on either case.
Now, here's a story that is just tremendous right now. Terry Borchler, as we talked about, got the first pole for the Asemco team. They've gotten help with some adjustments on the car, bigger restrictors and the like, and they've continued the development, and they've talked about it. They're coming up. He's about to put a lap on the GT1 lead battle. Here you've got to be careful once again. But here's the amazing thing. They now have, Borchler does, 10 seconds plus over the second car in the class, Olivier Beretta, in Contour Corvette. So this is Asemco Celine with the help it got from the sanctioning body and with the amazing development and commitment of this thing has come alive.
I'm surprised they go through the GT cars, GT2 cars that quickly. You know, you saw how hard it was for Weaver. Of course, Weaver caught him right here in a bad spot. That's part of the reason. But Terry went right by those 2 guys and really didn't mess them up at all, or himself.
Well, a lot of commitment by this operation to really make it work. And certainly, Terry's quick. He's had poles, he's had race wins, he's had championships in this event. But what a special moment. The celebration after qualifying in this team's pit was something really to behold. They just loved it.
These boys have worked really hard all year long. That car, on the other hand, is not an easy car to drive. It's a big car if you get next to it. Big wide car, it's hot inside. You got to really muscle it around. So Terry working out pretty good right now.
Again, you've got 10 seconds in hand over the Corvettes this early into a race. Things are going pretty darn well.
And that being said, when we're approaching fuel stop, well, fuel window's coming up pretty soon. You know, the Corvette guys have really practiced and really got their pit stops down now. I'm going to have to really watch and see how much this GT1 battle comes down to a pit strategy.
Well, as you said, the Corvette team is the master bar none at that. It'll be interesting to see just how it unfolds with the Asemco team. Here is your current GT1 top 5. Speed Channel's coverage of the American Le Mans Series is brought to you by High Endurance Oils from Mobil, the oil that's changing oil, and by Michelin, a better way forward. We're back, everybody, and once again, the overall race leaders are coming up on that GT2 battle. for position here, and you can see Werner going around the outside to the Westward Hill Casino entry, and now coming up and getting balked a little bit, and that's just the way it plays out sometimes behind that Hyatt Bell Micro Alex Job Racing entry. But remember now, Weaver got held up badly when they got down into Moss, and he may have just happened again as he gets trapped behind the vet. Watch this big move right here. Look at Werner. Almost come by, get around, and Weaver just, Dorsey.
They split the Sugden car, and that's a very scary thing to do. Take a look from overhead here. Now here goes Weaver trying to the outside, and the Audi really just dives on in there. Of course, he doesn't get the apex for the corner because James was on that side. Now another
gassing it right to the apex.
Another thing I want you at home to start looking at is look on the racetrack. Look at all the amount of rubber that's laying around. Look at those bits. You see them starting to fly around. Now that's a bad indication of what's going on. We've got a lot of tire wear coming out right now. There's a lot of buildup. We're hearing people talk about vibrations with tires. This could cause a trouble later in the race.
Well, from that shot, we've been seeing those bits of marbles. There's another one bouncing around. And moments ago, while we were in break, we heard Weaver radio his pit and say, "I've picked up the vibration, boys. We better change tires and drivers at our first stop." So he's very concerned. Look at that. I mean, they're running all over that track.
What happens is those pieces get inside the bodywork. They roll around, and they're like a snowball. They keep getting bigger and bigger and heavier and heavier. And when they get heavy enough, they spit out. They can break a windshield. They can go through your bodywork, or they can do damage to your suspension. And it's really starting to be prevalent.
Or lift a car right off the ground.
Like it did with me. Almost turned me over once. But, you know, the vibration you hear these guys talking about is build up on the tires. It's those pieces of rubber. Now, they're not only on the outside of the racetrack now, but they're online. That's why you see them flying around.
Well, I mean, it's essentially, it's a similar thing as having a tire out of balance, you know, when you lose a weight.
Oh, look here again. There he goes out for the lead. Now he just splits it, and they're bumping. They're rubbing hard. And it's put Weaver off. He's going to go in the tire wall, I'm sure of it. He did hit the tire wall.
Not hard. Doesn't look like there's a lot of damage, and he's letting it roll back. But yeah, he definitely tried to stay put.
Same move as before. Traffic.
Yeah, Werner was just not about to let him have it that time.
Now here's the bad news. Weaver is past the pit in. Pit in is right there to his right. He's going to have to make a whole lap with whatever he's got left of that front end of that car. Watch this.
Looks okay from the outside, James.
That was Bob Leitzinger.
He didn't lose a lap. He kept the engine running, which was a miracle. It doesn't look hurt. It looks like he just nosed her on in there with a little help.
And Bob obviously looked at it very close as he drove by and let James know it looks okay. But now James has to work through this battle once again. Meanwhile, here's what unfolded this time from that high cam.
Watch James on the Panos. Works the outside. The Panos doesn't see him. That gives the Audi the advantage. Now they split and they bump. And here now, the two of them are getting nut-headed right here, just bumping each other. And look, the Audi just pushes James straight on out into the grass. Oh, just barely gets in there.
Just tapped it. Here's another angle.
But this right here is kind of not-headed drive, and these two guys could have given each other room, and they did not. Almost put them both in the pit lane is what it did.
Now Werner was fighting like crazy to get back onto the track.
Watch this.
Wow.
You couldn't see the Audi because it's right on the right-hand side. Lucky man, James Weaver, not to do more damage, and he didn't lose a lap. Payback time. Gauge is reversed. That's all pretty neat that it all worked like that.
Problem is now that puts both the Dyson Lolas.
Marco, how are your tires?
Brad Kettler calling in to Michael.
There on the backside.
About hours of tires, I believe.
Weaver down in Moss, and I would suspect we'd see him in.
Yeah, I would think you'd see him in, unless he's just not quite to his fuel window. You can bet that he wants tires by now.
Well, yeah, especially after he rooted him up the gravel and then the grass.
Yeah, it looks like he's setting up. He's setting up to come in. I'm pretty sure he is anyway. And I think he wants to have the front end check. But now one turn ahead.
See right here. And it stays out. So I guess not ready for the fuel. Yeah.
Not ready for fuel.
So Weaver stays out, just trying to salvage it, get to the fuel window, and do what they have to do, and of course hope for a caution. Jean Richard is the official timekeeper of the American Le Mans Series. The pits are busy. Cal?
Well, he's running second place when he came into the pits. Emanuele Pirro has brought the car in. Fuel is done. Tire change is done. Fresh set of Michelin. Beamer underway. Brian.
GT1 leading. Celine is in. Terry Borcheller will get out. He climbs out of the car. Johnny Mollem will be taking over. Borcheller setting a torrid pace while he was out there. The problem is they've got that bigger restrictor. They've got great horsepower, but you got to feed the horses. Those horses eat fuel, so they're in several laps before the Corvette, but the Celine looking near perfect out there today. They'll take on fuel, 4 new Michelin tires, and they should be back underway.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. And when Pirro came in the 3rd spot, which tells you how quickly Weaver recovered from that. He only lost about 20 seconds, and he was passed, but didn't lose another position. That was amazing.
It was amazing, and how he did it was when he was going out of control, more or less, he put the clutch in, kept the engine running so it didn't die it. Calvin?
Well, the lead car is in. Marco Byrne now turning over to JJ Leto, and he should finish this race off this afternoon. Champion have not had a great history here at Mosport. Johnny Herbert for a couple of years had incidents. And last year they had a car that was really not working well. Ultimately they had a broken rear sway bar which caused the car to understeer throughout the weekend. Never had the car up to speed, and the win went to Dyson. So right now fueling is going in. JJ is strapped in. We have a new set of Michelin. We expect these guys to go the rest of the way on the same set of tires and then just look for fuel in about an hour's time. So JJ Leto so angry after that penalty that the pit crew incurred at the last round of Road America literally wouldn't talk to Brad Kettler for about 5 hours after the race, but after a couple of beers at Seep Kids Dorsey, he was in good shape again.
Well, I mean, you get mad about that when you have something really good trouble to Baptist about, and they come in and make a little mistake, and you pay the penalty for it. You got to get over it because the crew guys work off long.
Watch traffic on your out lap, JJ. Watch traffic on your left. Yeah.
Brad Kettler telling him to watch for traffic. Get out here. When you come into the corner, you can't see around it right there. You could encounter that car. You know, it's on the racetrack.
Now, by the way, folks, all of these stops happening at about 56 to 58 minutes in. So these guys not making it an hour at this stage. Brian?
50 Pano's entry with Robin Liddell behind the wheel is in, but it's not for fuel. He reported a loss of power. The engine just went flat. We talked about him having problems on the top end. This is not a top end issue. This is something in the power plant. They've just started up to see if they can find it, revving up the engine, but they'll have to be sitting here on pit road for quite a while. The other thing about these Pano's cars, they don't believe that they can make it on one stop like the Porsches in GT2. So we would expect to see the 51 in before long.
All right, by the way, gentlemen, just to inform everybody, just so you know, in the LMP2 division, the number 37, Very, Very Exotics entry came in and has turned over to Clint Field. The number 19, Vanderster Lola, is back out, and our leader is in. The number 10, Rockford Fosgate, Courage is in, and looks like they are going to keep Bucknam on board.
Looks like a typical pit stop. You see the fueler in there getting his job done. All the rest of the boys can't touch the car till the fueling's done. They're waiting. As soon as he gets that fuel nozzle disconnected, you'll see tire change. No driver change on this car. Bucknam's going to do a double.
And Bucknam obviously is probably the quicker of the two drivers. They left him in a little bit too long at Mid-Ohio, but at this stage, I think they want to take advantage of the opportunity here. And now Weaver comes down pit lane, and by staying out, got himself backing a little bit, but it's a matter of just how quickly they can do what they're going to do. Cal?
Well, Weaver is in. I don't see too much damage to the front nose. There's a few scrapes down the side of the car, but luckily Weaver able to keep the car on that lead lap. He's now turned over to Butch Leitzinger. He's been on a roll recently, took a sports car victory in Ohio just 1 week ago, so he'd like to make it 2 in 1 week. And remarkable that James had that off at Road America. His first crash for Dyson in 19 years of racing with the team. He's had a couple of spins, he said, but never actually crashed the car. And here 2 events in a row he's been off course. So it just shows the battle between the Dyson and the Audi. They both need to win to get in this championship hunt, with the 2 car having such a points lead right now. Fueling is done. The key with this is how quickly does this car fire up. They believe they're losing up to 4 to 5 seconds when they have to free-fire the car in pit lane, and that's absolutely killing them. Tire change is done, cleaning out the grill, just waiting on the right rear. He's done. How quickly does it fire up?
For the engine. Clear, go, go, go.
Well, one of the rules, of course, is that you have to shut the engine off before they can work on it. It has to start under its own power. The crew cannot push and pop start you. It's been a real problem with that car.
Here's the number 3 CompuWare vet in and out. Brian?
Routine stop for the boys in the 3 car. Johnny O'Connell now behind the wheel. His fuel and tires, he's gone, guys.
Well, Brian, the amazing thing was before he came in, we were watching on a couple of our side monitors, he was right behind the number 4. So they had run them down once he got around the Maserati and was all over him. Now, you just saw the 63 go by Johnny Mollum now behind the wheel. And so Mollum looks like obviously the 4 car leading right now, but once the rest of the pit stop sequence out, they're looking pretty good right now. Let's get back down to Brian.
There's Ashley Calvin down here in the Corvette pit now. Greg and Beretta jumps out. Gavin jumping in. He's the man who qualified. This car's been exceptionally fast all weekend long. They've been working hard with the Michelin tires. They're actually going to do another test for Michelin at Road America prior to fatigue. We understand that the Aston Martin team will be over for the final 2 events of the year. The Corvette boys need to be right on their game if they're going to take it to those guys when we see them in 3 weeks' time. So looks like a good clean start. We're talking about these Corvette boys being really quick. They've worked on the fuel flow with this Corvette. They've also worked on these tire changes. They've now got it under 10 seconds when everything goes perfectly on getting all 4 tires changed. You'd love this at your service station, wouldn't you guys? Left side is done, waiting on the rights. All done, Jack's out. Fire him up. Oh, he's in reverse there.
There it is. There's the lead of Semco Celine taking the lead right into turn 1. Remember the pit lane speed limiter. He can't just burn out and get out of there. Now he can.
Well, I think that speaks volumes of how quick that stop was for the Semco Celine team. They upped their game.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I was waiting to see how that all shook out when it happened. You guys obviously know that the Corvette team's been practicing this. They won a pit stop competition back at Road America, so they know they have to get their game on.
My apologies, by the way, to the owner of the Semco team. I said his first name was Mark. Yeah, I know that. So, but anyway, that team doing an absolutely exceptional job right now.
As long as he wins, he doesn't kill him.
He doesn't. Yeah, that's right. As long as it's spelled right in the check, as they say. So, doing a nice job. And obviously, now we should point out that in the next couple of events, well, let's get back down before we get into that too. Brian, you're standing by with the guy who hustled that Celine so well in the opening stint.
Greg, you talk about the performance of the Semco team. Awesome pit stop. And Terry, you said you had a good race car, and you proved it. There were times you were a second and a half faster than the vets out there. Good to go to the end?
Yeah, we're ready, I think. I mean, we're down on fuel mileage a little bit. It's about the only negative that I can see, but the car's real consistent all the way through the stint, and I'm just real happy for the team, man. They've worked so hard for so long, and this is what happens when you're hungry. You know, we've followed these Corvettes for a long time, and they do a great job, but we're doing a real good job today, and I just hope we can close it.
And they're doing an awesome job today. Terry stepped out of that car while leading. He's pleased. Let's check in down with Calvin Fish.
Here with James Weaver. James, a great battle there with Werner. Ultimately, you went off the racetrack, but I know you enjoyed the battle out there.
Yeah, it was getting pretty fraught, but you know, sometimes you just get caught up badly in the back markers, and we were both racing hard, and he came off best, unfortunately.
I know you talk about this in the drivers' meeting in terms of the guys getting out of the way of the faster cars, but I mean, on this racetrack, it's pretty daunting for some of these fellas, and offline is pretty treacherous. What can they do to make it easier on the faster cars for you?
Well, to be honest, just drive a little bit better, because if they stuck to their line, you could overtake them. It's when they start wallowing around in the middle of the road that it all goes pear-shaped.
Can you recover from this, James? You had the off. Can you recover and still win this today?
I think they're just a little bit quicker than us. If truth be known, we need a yellow to get back in contention.
All right, mate. Good luck.
Well, as always, very honest, very forthright, and also just a lot of fun to listen to. That is a look at Butch Leitzinger we had for a moment there, who is now on board and looking for that yellow. Welcome back, everybody. Here's our mobile race summary. If you're just joining us, right off the top of the race, James Weaver looked like a planned move around the outside of his pole-sitting teammate, Chris Dyson, and down in. Then the number 2 car, and that was in the hands at the time of Emanuele Pirro, got around Dyson, picked up the 3rd spot, and then he pitted early after sensing a vibration. Turned out to be a deflating tire. Decided, well, let's change it and let's get Andy Wallace behind the wheel. A little problem in the stop, and he was real irritated. He had the problem with the car, then a problem with an air gun in the stop. He was a little lit. And then watch this moment here as Weaver caught out just a little bit with a great move by Marco Werner. Weaver surprised, ends up just nudging the tires, no damage. He only lost about 20 seconds and he stayed out. Here comes the number 3 Corvette, finally getting by the Maserati. Ron Fellows making that pass. Then he ran down his teammate and then pitted, but it is in GT1, it has been the 63 Acento Saleen from the start, leading big time and still leading after the first round of stops. And the number 51 Panos, watch this, little bit too hot down into Moss hairpin, got back on, but dirt on the tires, just a quick half loop, and Marino Franchitti gathered it up. And in the GT2 category, the battle between the 23 class leading in pole qualifying, Alex Job entry, and that car right behind it there, that Westward Ho Casino Porsche, has been absolutely phenomenal. And we're going to be tracking that one very closely indeed. Up front now, it is the number 1 Audi of J.J. Leto, who is a super leader.
Not by the look at the Dawson car right behind it. They're just now passing LMP2 car.
Field after the stop by that very, very exotics. Lola has picked up the ride. And watching right now as Leto starts to drive away, has put a lap now on Leitzinger. The driver who started that car is with Calvin.
Marco Werner, you had a great opening stint there. The car looks to be working very well. Talk about the weather battle with James Weaver, however, looked pretty bored at times.
Yeah, that was a nice battle. So also before with a little gap from 5 or 4 seconds. So I think each other pushed very hard and try everything. Then I came closer in the traffic and I saw my chance in the last chicane or last corners. So I know James very well, so he's pushing every time very hard. But let me say, I didn't try to go in the pits in this lap, so I just tried to stay on the track. And of course, we touched each other, and he went straight. But he's the best guy. He was laughing. I went to him, and he said, "It's just hard racing. He's the best in this business."
So 2 great competitors out there enjoying the racing this afternoon, Greg.
Oh, absolutely. I love that line. I was not wanting to pit that lap, so I wasn't about to.
I didn't want to go in the pits. I'm sure James didn't want to go.
Exactly. That's the number 20 of Andy Wallace right now, not Leitzinger. That's down the lap. Leitzinger is second right now, but about 24 seconds back. Then Frank Bielen, the number 2 Audi, and then Wallace down the lap. And again, they are looking for some yellows at some point to help them out just a little bit. But meanwhile, on this great track, we want you to be able to enjoy the sounds of speed. So we're going to hop you on board with Frank Bielen. Well, the crowd starting to grill up some lunch and watching a great race here. Your top 4 in each of the classes here. Tonight on Speed, step into the tunnel. That's Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain and special co-host Sebastian Bourdais. The 2004 Champ Car World Series champ is on his way to defending that title again this year. So join them on Wind Tunnel live tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern, only on Speed. We are back, everybody, and while we were in break, we were hearing some radio chatter about GT2 pit stop, so we're going to be keeping an eye out for that. That battle has been absolutely phenomenal in that class, Dorsey, and we'll see how the pit stops shake out. We're on board. Here we go. York Bergmeister makes the dive down into the pits. Has to rein it in right here.
Driver change, copy.
Guys, York Bergmeister out of the car. Young American Porsche factory driver Patrick Long takes over behind the wheel. They're going to try to get the lead in the pits. They came in a lap or two before the Alex Job car will come in. Dale White had said, we're not getting the best gas mileage in the world, and no wonder Bergmeister really putting the pedal to the metal out there, trying to put the pressure on Romain Dumas. It'll be a routine stop. They've taken fuel, and they're taking 4 new Michelin tires. This is exactly halfway. So this car should be good to go to the finish. Right now, Patrick Long sitting in the cockpit, just waiting, refueling to finish. It has now finished. It'll be 4 new Michelin tires, and this car should get back out. They'll see if they can get a good pit stop and beat the Alex Job guys, see if they can get a better pit stop than Job and get the lead in pit lane. Patrick Long is now in the way.
Okay, all clear, all clear.
Somewhat surprising that he wasn't getting good fuel mileage, having been that he's been in the draft the entire fuel stint. He's been the secondary car. He should be getting good fuel mileage. Now, I agree with trying to get the position.
Really, really nice. Good job. Pat, reset fuel, check everything, copy.
Puts the pressure on the other team to get their job done right as well.
Well, I mean, that was about as perfect a pit stop in terms of execution that you're going to get. Meanwhile, the 44 Flying Lizard entry is in, and the 23 is in, and they're effecting a driver change as well. Krista?
That's right, the 23 is in. They're making the change. Timo Bernhardt getting in the car. I talked with him right before they came in. He said Romain Dumas is very happy with the car. Obviously, the lap time's very good. They're not going to make too many changes. They know that they can go the distance. That's what they said they're going to try to do.
Coming up, Kenny, pull. You don't have to pack it.
To be able to go on just the one stop with the shorter race, and the fuel load should be good. They're getting ready to change the tires. The fuel is going in. Romain is over the wall. He's out of the car. This was his 6th career pole, his 4th in a row. He's used to starting up front and finishing up front. The 23 car trying to go the distance, guys.
And by the way, when these 2 cars stopped, they had a 40-second margin in hand over 3rd in class. So if these stops go well, everything cycles through, they should be in good shape. Here we go, watching the 31 now in the hands of Long, coming out of turn 10 onto the front straight. And remember, here we go, the car is moving now, and Bergmeister coming down, but he has got a speed limiter, and Long is going to get by.
Yeah, you would have thought he would, being that he came in first. Long, definitely with the advantage right now. However, how quickly can we get up to speed and catch that battle? It's not that far apart.
Yes! Yes!
The guys are awful happy that strategy paid off. At least it has so far.
And so far, and remember that great victory they had at Road America, so close at the end, but it paid off. So they are riding a bit of a high wave here too, and then nailing that stop like they did, just brilliant. Now they got the Viper coming up with the GT1 cars, and behind them is one of the Dyson Lolas. So a little careful down through here. That is Wallace. He gets by the Viper, and now he's going to have that long straight to be able to get by the Porsche, so it should affect neither. And the Porsche in the hands now of Patrick Long has himself a lead. Whistling down the long Mario Andretti straightaway, they call it here. Long, but anything but straight, but absolutely flat out. And into this turn up here. Butch Leitzinger, folks, driving one of those prototypes, told me your 6th gear into that turn there that they're in right now, turn 8, you don't even brake. You lift, you just grab the pedal, 6th to 5th, and they said the telemetry was showing turn-in speeds there at about 160 miles per hour. So it is remarkable the speeds that we have here at Mosport. So GT2 pit stops, some of them complete. You see Darren Law leading in GT2. He hasn't stopped yet. We are back to the Grand Prix of Mosport. And, you know, Michelin services a number of teams here. And the question is, how do you spread the technical wealth? Well, Brian Till checked out the answer in our Michelin Tire Tip.
You know, it's been said that competition breeds success, and for Michelin, that couldn't be any more true, especially in 2005. Right now, they stand poised to win both Constructor Championships and Driver Championships in Formula One and World Rally, as well as a championship in MotoGP. Now, in the American Le Mans Series, they're looking at championships in LMP1, GT1, and GT2. Now, you're probably familiar with the battles that take place on the racetrack between the drivers and in pit lane amongst the crews and the strategies that they use. But what you may not be as familiar with is the battle that takes place between Michelin tire engineers during the middle of the race. Carl Koenigstein is one of those engineers. You're actually in charge of all the engineers in pit lane, Carl. How is it that you manage to keep that competition under control? Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, thanks, Brian. Here at Michelin, we find our brand of cooperative competition gives us the ability to very quickly figure out what's going on the racetrack and sort out which tires are working best on the track.
Well, it's got to make for some interesting dinner conversation. How do you guys go to dinner at the end of the day and not spill the beans and tell secrets about other teams and their strategies?
Well, we're tire engineers, so we like to talk about tires over dinner. But we just have to make sure that we don't stray into the area of vehicle setup or race strategy for the teams.
Well, secrets are still secrets. They say, once again, competition breeds success. For Michelin, sounds like competition breeds excellence.
And excellent right now is the performance we are seeing from the number 31 Westward Ho Casino team. Patrick Long behind the wheel, and the driver who just got out is with Brian.
Yeah, Greg, I think excellent is a perfect word for that. Not only the driver performance, but the pit stop. Jorg was flawless, but tell me about the battle with Romain.
Well, I think we had a pretty equal car. He was a little quicker on the straightaway, and I think at the end of the stint I was a little quicker. But every time when I got close in the quicker sections, I lost the front downforce and had to back off again. But the guys did an awesome job in the pits, and you know, it's up to Patrick.
And it should be good to go to the finish, correct?
I hope so.
He hopes so. When he talked to me just before we did this interview, he said, I wasn't in the car long enough. I wanted to stay in. Let's get down with Calvin.
Well, the Corvette team are looking for their 5th consecutive victory here at Mosport Park. And Canadian Ron Fellows, you love this place, but you probably never see more competition in the category than you got here today.
No, it was great. You know, qualifying was really close, and he's, you know, the sleeve's been running strong. Yeah, you know, it took me a while to get by the Maserati. They were strong as well, and you know, we'll just have to wait and see how it goes. Johnny caught our teammates and then jumped them in our pit stop. So great job by the 3-car guys as always, and doesn't seem to be able to catch the Celine at the moment. It's kind of going back and forth, but Johnny Mullen seems to be holding about 4 seconds, but it's not over yet.
I was sitting there on Friday drinking my Tim Hortons coffee and reading the newspaper, and there's talk of retirement from one of the local scribes here. Tell us it's not so, Ron.
I don't think so. You know, you know, the last few years, we just annually sit down as a family and talk about, you know, does Dad want to do this another year? And yeah, that's we haven't had that conversation yet. So, but no, we really love the racing thing, and you know, the family travels together, and I'm very, very proud to be part of GM Racing. This is my 10th year, which is pretty decent employment opportunity, I think. So we're having fun racing Corvette, and we got a couple races to go yet, plus this one right here.
Sounds like he's not ready to answer that question yet, but he's coming off a big win yesterday with the Cadillac brand, so things still looking good for Ron.
I was going to say, Calvin, way to ask the tough questions, going right to the meat of the moment here. We'll be right back here to Mosport. Get ready, race fans, because tonight on Speed, we've got a special edition of NASCAR This Morning. You'll get all the updates and latest developments on NASCAR This Morning tonight, 6 Eastern, live and only on Speed.
Say this morning, tonight?
Tonight, this morning?
You got me.
Well, just tune in, and you'll get unconfused in a hurry about everything NASCAR. Meanwhile, we are watching J.J. Leto, and his margin is 22 seconds right now. Overall, over Butch Leitzinger. At the conclusion of those stops, it was about 25 seconds. So Leitzinger's been able to trim a little bit off some of that, probably traffic-related and the like. Problem is, That's not fast enough right now. If they continue to run this pace up front, Dyson is in trouble, and Weaver stated it very clearly, with caution. None yet so far. Meanwhile, in GT2, on board now with Patrick Long, as he continues to hustle the Westward Ho Casino around in the lead, with Timo Bernhard now in the Hyatt entry, right with him at this stage, and that is the number 23 car. And
P1 plus 9. P1 plus 9.
There you hear it, 9 seconds he's got at this stage, and a lot of that was made up. They were a lot closer than that. That pit stop sequence really worked for this team.
But what concerns me about this team is they were complaining about not getting too good of fuel mileage while being in a draft. Now they're leading with no one to pull or to get the toe off of. So if they truly did stop at halfway, that's got me a little worried.
Well, looking at right at the time when they said that, it was just a couple of seconds past halfway, so it must be that close. Meanwhile, Timo Bernhard is in chase mode, and the driver who did a great job in qualifying in the first in is with Krista.
That's right. Romain Dumas had the car out there in front, and I know since you got out of the car, you've kind of been in the pits. I've been watching you kind of shaking your head a little bit, I guess, disappointment because you lost that position on pit road. The guys, what do you think about the chances now with the car?
Well, sure, I don't know what happened, but I arrived in front of the 31 car, so it was a nice battle for more than 1 hour. And I don't know what happened in the pit, but we lost 10 seconds, so we don't know why. So wait and see what will happen. Possible they put less fuel or we put too much fuel, I don't know, but there's something really strange, so it's why I'm not so happy.
I know Timo said that you weren't saying much on the radio because you like the lap times. Obviously, the car is good. Is the car good enough to get back up front?
Well, sure, the car is really fast, but in the 31 car, it's the same car with nearly, I would say, the same driver. So Timo will come back, but I don't know if it will be enough. And we will see 1 hour to go, and you have to push maximum, and we will see what's going on.
That's the story in GT2. Calvin has more from another class.
Well, the number 20 car is in with Andy Wallace behind the wheel. They are going to be doing fuel. Full load will be needed. Remember, Chris Dyson made that early start, so Andy has about an hour left there to get to the checkered flag. They should be good to go, and they are doing a 4-tire change. I saw Andy motioning with his hands like he may have some big oversteer going on with the race car, so they felt pretty confident. Earlier in the weekend, he said the car was very nervous on the entry to the high-speed corners. They made a change to the rear differential, which really settled the car down, so maybe that balance is still there for Andy Wallace now he gets there under race conditions. Seems like they're doing a good job. Tires are done. He tries to fire it up. He'll be underway.
There he heads out at exactly the 1 hour and 31 minute mark, so 59 minutes remaining. They all stopped at 55, 56. This car stopped even earlier than that, so it'll be interesting to see whether they will be able to stretch that right to the end. Getting interesting here. Once again, 4 different classes running here at Mosport. Here are your class leaders. We are back, everybody, and we are in Canada, where hockey reigns almost as supreme as motor racing, and a pre-event hockey game. Big fun here. And fellows, discuss the options.
You just got to remember 3 things: skating and shooting, and occasionally a little tackling.
Game unfolded. Puck was dropped. The drivers are in black. And Dorsey, they got an early lead, but that wasn't going to hold.
Yeah, but most of these drivers from the United States, and I think most of these media were from Canada. And guess what?
Oh, ringers you're talking.
Ringers. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And, of course, they won the game.
He's not from Canada.
Let me tell you this.
He's a driver.
They better not ask for too much money or they won't be playing.
Exactly. And by the way, of course, Ron Fellows obviously loves hockey. And interesting, one of the owners of one of the big sponsors on that Corvette of his owns a little company called the North Carolina Hurricane. The number 45 of John Fogerty has pulled off, and there's a fair amount of smoke coming from the back. Yeah,
that's a telltale smoke like I think the Porsche just had an electrical failure with the rod through the side of the battery. She's smoking out the tailpipe, I believe. I think it kind of ingested itself.
At least one side, anyway. And it says it's moved off here. Now, would you suspect, is this in a spot where that yellow that the Dyson team needs so badly might...
Kind of strange. He's coming out that side of the car. I guess he doesn't want to open the door onto the straightaway. He is halfway up the straightaway. Well, they could bring the yellow out. He's kind of in a safe place, but on the other hand, you know, it's the discretion of the
There's a lot of speed right at that section of track, and if mean, he's out of the way. I mean, if nothing goes wrong there, he's fine. But if something goes wrong, we'll see what they decide. So far, no indication at all.
That's the rise where we, before they shaved the top of that hill, people used to get airborne. I used to love to get airborne in Trans Am here, but they didn't like it.
Meanwhile, we are on board now with the number 2 in the hands of Frank Biela. While we were in commercial, though, that car stopped, I understand, Cal.
It did, and that really forces the hand of the number 1 car, because the number 2 car was able to stop, put fuel in, which will get them to the finish here this afternoon, and changed all 4 tires, and he kept on the lead lap. Now what would happen if we went full caution? It really caused a problem for the number 1 car, and hence they are bringing him in immediately. If there was a caution, it would close the pits, and then JJ Luton would lose track position to Frank Biela. They have to win here today. They've got catch up to play in the points. JJ Leto needs a win desperately, and right now he sits patiently in the cockpit waiting for this champion crew to go to work. Fueling has to be complete before the tires can be changed, of course, and the mechanics are waiting at the wheels. Then it's going to be a blast out. Should be a full fuel load, about 53 minutes left in the race here. It's pretty much a full load, but they are in their window to get to the checkered flag with no more unforeseen stops, Greg.
And Calvin, I have to ask, they're only doing fronts apparently, and normally you can even double stint. It's fairly smooth. Is this all pickup issues?
Well, I think what it is, JJ said that the cars had a little bit of an understeer imbalance all weekend long. They improved it in the morning warm-up, but this really just saves them time. Remember, they're only allowed 2 wheel guns in the pit stops. That probably saved him 5 or 6 seconds over the 2 car. He'll have a bigger gap when he goes back on track.
That being said, Calvin, with the front tires being cold and stickers in the rear, the 2 car just went whistling by. The front tires have no heat in them. They're not built up on pressures. The rears are sticky. This car's going to push like a pig for the lap.
But once it comes in theory, then maybe they'll have better pressure and balance just a little bit.
That's what they're hoping for. The 2 is huge that they went around. That is right there for the lead, but it's going to take at least a lap for the 1 to get these tires at least balanced or semi-balanced.
And the amazing thing is they did just that front set of tires, and still Biela was able to get by at this point. So it was just an amazing lap by Biela. Let's check in with Calvin.
It was a great outlap by Frank Biela. Brad Ketley, you made the call for front tires only. What was the strategy?
We've done that before here at Mosport with pretty good success. The fronts seem to wear a little bit quicker than the rears, and usually when you put fronts against the old rears, the car gets real fast. The car's been real fast today. It's handling real well, and that's all JJ wanted.
How long will it take for the balance to come in terms of the front tires getting up to temperature with the hot rears, though?
A lap and a half. They come in quite fast here.
You're banking you'll have a better balance at the end of the stint to take it to Frankie?
Yeah, I mean, Manueli struggled a little bit with pickup, and Frankie's had to play catch up a little bit, so I think we're in pretty good shape.
Okay, we talk about inter-team rivalry. You've never seen it more enforced than today here at Mosport in the champion Audi team, Greg.
Absolutely, and Frank Biela getting by Leto put him back on that lead lap. So right now, Doris, it's not it's open for a yellow.
No, that's exactly my point. The yellow comes out now, and that's what you would want. You can make up that tire lap, get to the back, and maybe have a chance again. That wasn't a position change per se, but it was getting a lap back on a circuit that's tough to get a lap back on.
Which was huge, and now if there is some yellow that unfolds, it's going to change the complexion of the race completely. Right now, though, it is Butch Leitzinger leading, but they too have yet to make their final stop, so things going to unfold yet again here as stops continue. Speed Channel's coverage of the American Le Mans Series is brought to you by Mazda. There's a soul of a sports car in everything we make. And by Slime, the best way to prevent and repair flat tires. Go to slime.com for a dealer near you. And we are back, everybody. Butch Leitzinger leading overall right now in the Dyson Tedford Norco Lola. And good look at Butch right here. He has been lapping consistently a second to a second and a half to sometimes 2 seconds faster than anybody else on track. But the problem is he only has now a 35-second margin, and he has got to yet make one more stop to get to the end. Now, the longer he goes, the shorter the fuel he takes. Do they leave the same tires out? What? It's going to be an interesting strategy, but he is doing everything within his power right now to throw down some just blinders to try and build as much of a margin of pad as he can when that stop comes.
Yeah, you want to pad as much as you can. It's not just this class that's got that problem, because in P2, the same situation applies. There's a big lead going on in P2 with the 10, but it's got to stop here very shortly. We've heard maybe 5 laps an hour, so they're going to have to do a driver change, Greg, and when they do, that lead is going to diminish as well.
It's going to diminish, and Clint Field has been throwing down some great laps. He's taken about 15 seconds off of this number 10 car since Clint got behind the wheel, and Bucknam is still driving. As a matter of fact, the radio call that we heard was, try and give us 5 more good ones, Jeff, and we'll let you rest. He has put in yeoman duty here, and when he stops, they're going to put Chris McMurray behind the wheel, and then the other stop, and this Clint Field would think they need to do a stop as well, and it's going to be very interesting to see how this one occurs at the end. Clint is flying.
Clint's supposed to do a stop with no driver change, and they're not going to take a full load of fuel on. You see him pass Penker out with the 16 go by him. He's not going to take a full load of fuel. He's not going to make a driver's change, so the pit stop will be quicker. Plus, he's a quicker car right now on the racetrack as well.
And back to Leitzing, you see him right there. I just had to point this out. Lato's last lap, a 1 minute 11.3 second lap. Leitzinger's a 1 minute 8.7, so 2.5 seconds faster. And of course, maybe Lato got caught in some traffic like Butch is in right now, but just the laps Butch is driving right now, stunning.
Greg, you were talking about the Jeff Bucknam situation, and we've seen that team fall afoul of the regulations. In a 2-hour 45-minute race, one of the drivers is not allowed to exceed 2 hours. The other guy essentially has to do 45. With the shorter race distance here today of 2 hours and 30 minutes, the IMSA official said each driver has to do a minimum of 10 laps. So it's a little bit different, opens up the window a little bit more. We know Jeff has a little bit more pace than Chris McMurray. Chris does an awesome job, but Jeff is certainly the lead driver there, so he's trying to stretch his race distance as far as he can. They go down to the wire today once again with that number 37 car currently driven by Clint Field.
So then Chris would have to do at least 10 laps of this race. Well, that was close, you know, to get the points that he needs not to be disqualified. So that's why they're going to leave him in as long as they can. In the meantime, though, like we said, Clint Field is actually much quicker.
And here's a look here at the number 1 of J.J. Lato. And one of the reasons that he lost that time, apparently he got caught up. Check this out.
J.J. Lato going down. Too much speed exiting 1, and that's a big, huge ride. That is really rough territory out there at well over 130 miles an hour. Man, I mean, he's pushing really, really hard, and he's just really almost cost himself the whole race right there.
I wonder if that's a reflection of what you were talking about, that, well, by now those tires should have come in a little bit heat-wise. You wouldn't think he'd be pushing that bad.
That is a big, I mean, right there, miles an hour off the outside. It's very rough out there on the road, but off the road, forget about it. It's not an off-road vehicle.
No, I mean, Audis are sturdy, but that was unbelievable. And Lato, I mean, just held on, did what he had to do, didn't lose the sun, and got it back on track, dirtied up the tires, so that's going to cost you some time as well. So the interesting thing is
definitely grass in the brake duct.
You know what? I just heard Brad Kettler. Look in the front. Look at the little grill opening right there. See all the grass? Now the brake ducts are the same way. If he's packed them all full of grass, the brakes are going to start heating up, and the radiator is going to start heating up too.
No,
Brad just told him.
Brake duct is blocked by grass. It's full.
So there you hear it. I mean, are they seeing that on telemetry? I think the temps are going up?
They're watching on telemetry, I'm sure, and seeing that the temperature on the radiators on the engine is getting hotter. Might have to make a pit stop, and that's really going to give the 16 a big advantage.
Absolutely. I mean, if better to stop and not blow up the engine and the like. And but boy, what a development that would be for this car, who looked to have things pretty well in hand.
Wouldn't it be such an irony? They lost the race at Road America by one of the mechanics during a fuel stop, actually cleaning out the grill, and they got a 20-second penalty. And I think the number 1 car would have won at Road America the way things were shaken out. And right now, J.J. Lato has made a little mistake there running wide, and that may cost him another win here today.
Oh, look at the rubber pieces too. They're oh, you know that radiator's. Oh, here we go. The 10's finally going to make his pit stop.
That's right, guys. The 10 is in. Jeff Bucknam getting out of the car. Chris McMurray ready to come in. As you said, they had to make this change. Jeff Bucknam had gone the distance. And remember, they were disallowed the lead when Jeff Bucknam drove longer than the rules permit at Mid-Ohio. So now Chris McMurray is in. I talked to team owner John Macaluso. He said they are happy. No other changes other than the driver and the fuel. The fuel is going in. Chris is getting buckled in, and the 10 will be out. Obviously, they took over the points lead with their win at Road America, so they're trying to hang on to that and keep Clint Field away from the lead.
Well, just getting the straps done, and that car's going to take off. And
Slow pit stop.
Yeah, big testament, though, to these new Kumos.
Well, I'm telling you what, when that gas hose gets out of that car should be done, and either tires being put on and so forth. So this driver change taking a long period of time. You see him trying to hook up the communication for the driver there. That's a lengthy pit stop.
Oh, and he stalled it. And if you remember what happened in Portland when that car died, as it was heading out of pit lane. This time it looks like it restarted, and he's going to be able to drive it on out under the limiter until they get past pit out. But nonetheless, yeah, very slow stop.
And we'll see where he plays out up against the field car once he resumes on the racetrack here.
At the time of the stop, the margin was 13 seconds that this car had in hand over Clint Field.
They will have lost that.
Obviously, they'll have lost that
by a lot.
We would suspect that Clint has to make a splash and go, and that's the when the tail of the tape will happen here. As we watch that car starting to build a little bit of speed. The team looking a little bit down, realized that maybe that wasn't their best effort. Welcome back, everybody, and once again, we want to remind you all about the options you have to donate and help with the relief for those affected by Hurricane Katrina. If you want to help out, you can contact either the American Red Cross on their website at www.redcross.org or by phone at 800, that is 800-HELP-NOW, or 435-7669. If you would wish to donate to the Salvation Army, their website is www.salvationarmyusa.org. Their phone number for donations, 800-SAL-ARMY or 800-725-2769. Well, as we are now fast approaching about 40, a little less than 40 minutes remaining here. Here's a look at Butch Leitzinger leading, and with the problems befalling J.J. Leto as his margin grows. If they can get a quick stop in here, it's a good lead. But it's not just in this overall battle and in the LMP2 battle we've been talking about, where we're hearing Clint Field might be in with 4 laps. That is, watch these outages right here. And Leto has been on the radio saying that he has not been able to get by Biela, and it's hurting him. And as you can see now, he has finally gone by.
He called in to Brad Kettler and he said, hey, look, I'm having a hard time getting around here. Tell him to back off. That call was made. They said, move over and let the one go. And so they let it go. Team orders there.
Well, obviously, for Biela being a lap back to those guys, he was not the guy who was going to be able to do anything with Leitzinger.
And that was exactly the point. Then with the brake ducts being stuffed full of grass and so forth, he can't go into the brake zone, slam the brakes on without overheating the brakes.
Now, we want to update you on what's going on in the GT2 division, and because this is a great, great story, you are riding on board with Patrick Long, the number 31 Westward Ho Casino Porsche, and look who is right behind him. That, folks, is Timo Bernhard in that Hyatt Bell Micro Alex Job Racing Porsche. Remember, after the stops, they were wondering, how did they get 10 seconds on us? It's gone. Some of it's been traffic, but Timo Bernhard has been throwing down some great laps as well. And this is it's sort of reversed from what we saw earlier in the race.
I suspect he won't be back there long. He's made up 5 seconds in the last 3 laps. So I'm looking now just for the place to do it. Speed's there, no doubt.
And right now, there is absolutely no traffic in front of them. Meanwhile, it is the 37 is in, Cal.
It is Clint Field looking for his second consecutive victory here at Mosport. Team said the tires are looking great. Goodyear tires on this entry. Just going to top him up with fuel. They could actually do a time stop here. Doesn't need a full fuel load. We've got about 35-40 minutes left in this one, so probably about 2/3 of a tank is almost needed. Clint did a remarkable job. Great strategy. Liz Halliday did a tremendous job on her first visit here to Mosport. Clint Field has taken over the reins, trying to ride this horse to another win.
Yeah, you mentioned his win last year, 1 of 6 he had in this category last year, and still only managed second in points because of problems in some other races. But boy, what a year. And here we go. Butch Leitzinger is in. This is the moment, the stop right now. Cal?
Well, again, just like Clint Field, I think the team is making the call to put Butch Leitzinger on a time stop and also not change tires. So they're going to try and stretch these Michelins for about a stint and a half. There's going to be a long run, about 1 hour and 35. Butch is going to be on the same set of tires. I can't believe they're not timing this stop.
Pull out, start the engine. Pull out, start the engine, Butch. Clear to go.
Fires it up, and I think they may have wasted a few precious seconds there doing the fuel, guys.
Here comes Leto out of that last turn. Leitzinger now on the throttle. It is this close, folks. The margin when they stopped was 40 seconds. Leitzinger had. He's now on the gas. There's Leto right behind him. That is your margin for the overall race lead. And then LMP1. And oh boy, here comes the pressure. Leto steaming up behind Leitzinger. And there's a question to ask. What if Biela had let Leto go by a little bit sooner?
That's the one car behind you, and it will be for the lead.
He would have been in the front of the one car is what would have happened. Something I saw that disturbed me on that pit stop, other than the amount of fuel they put in, when they left, remember they've been changing the rear end. They've been talking about traction at the back end with the locker unit. When Butch lit the tires up to leave, it only spun the right rear tire. It did not spin the left rear tire. That could be a problem in the rear end. And the locker unit, before this race is over, we'll have to watch for that.
Well, all of those, what you have to say is, one, that off by Leto, and then those great laps that Leitzinger was putting in, that was huge to bring it to this point right now. And for the Dyson team early in the race, after the problems early, who would have thought this?
Remember, he got the fuel, but he did not get tires, so he's on, as Calvin said, hour and a half on those tires right now. They're not really primo, you might say.
Well, and only the fronts on Leto's car are going to be primo as well. So
that might balance that. He had a condition where it was understeering, so they're trying to balance it. And like Brad Kettner said, that usually makes a real fast race car by putting those front tires on. We'll find out.
Well, out of turn 3, traffic, no worries here. Both of them get through clean. And heading through 4, down into turn 5. And there you see James Weaver quickly looking over as we look at the current LMP1 standings. It's close. Welcome back, everybody, and as the season winds down, we want to remind you of the next race that is be unfolding for the ALMS Series on Speed, and it is a race that has evolved into one of the great endurance races in the world, the Petit Le Mans at Road Atlanta, Saturday, October 1st. Live coverage begins 11 a.m. Eastern Time. It is 1,000 miles, 10 hours, whichever comes first, and it is phenomenal. And of course, if you win in each of those classes, you're guaranteed a shot at Le Mans the next year. So a lot on the line, as well as just a phenomenal race. Now, let's get down to Calvin. The 23 is in.
Yeah, Bombers just dropped on this championship chasing GT2. Championship leaders Bernard and Dumas are in the pits with their car. Timo behind the wheel, alternator problem. And meanwhile, the 31 car is leading. This car only had a 2-point lead in the championship coming into this race, and they've had such a strong run after that DNF at Sebring. 4 wins, 2 second places, but it's all gone awry here today. What a move in the championship.
Boy, unbelievable. We had noticed that that Bernard's last lap was like 4 seconds off, and we're wondering what it was, and the number 4 is in. So, obviously, Ollie Gavin bringing that in for its last stop. Cal?
Well, the Corvettes are really going to have to work hard to overcome those Salines today. Ollie Gavin staying behind the wheel. They are doing a 4 tire change. The 3 team is setting up right behind. Currently, the 3 car runs ahead of the 4. So, again, it's coming down to these crews. They've battled all season long, and they really love this rivalry. Superb start by the 4 car. That was unbelievable.
Certainly puts the pressure now on the 3, which will be coming in probably this lap, since it's a team car with the lead. They'll have to match that pit stop, beat it because they were nose to tail.
And there it is, working its way down that long back straight. We'll be following that. And it comes down now to 1, obviously execution in the pit stop, but also out laps and in laps. I mean, that all plays. How you get the job done is Johnny O'Connell right now on board this car.
And as a driver, how fast can you get it into that pit lane, get it slow to the pit speed limit, which he's about to do right now, and hit your marks perfectly, Johnny. There, he's got it slowed down.
Johnny O'Connell hits the marks. Dan Binks and the boys relish this opportunity to try and take it to the 4 squad, see if they can do it a better time. But meanwhile, both cars have to chase down that 63 car. The Lords had a good stop here today, so they're waiting on the fuel. Okay, it's time. It's not a full fuel load. Now the tires are going on. They're doing all 4s we expect. GT1 car a little heavier on the tire wear. Johnny O'Connell fired up, looking for the tires. He's looking in his side view mirrors. He gets the
Another tremendous stop for that Corvette team.
Is it good enough? We'll know at the end of this pit lane, because they should be just about together. They were together when they
Now Johnny drops the hammer.
There you go.
There it is.
Gotta go, we gotta go, we gotta go. We're gonna lose it.
not good enough, and O'Connell now, that essentially puts them in second. And here comes the Saleen.
The Saleen with the hammer down, knowing that those two cars are doing the best he can do to catch a good lap.
That was Borchler, now back on board, dropped the tire there for a moment. Coming out of turn 1, so you know he is getting absolutely everything. There's the leader, there's the number 3 car, and this is not that far drift, so all 3 of these cars in this category in close concert as they go by. The leader now, Patrick Long, in the GT2 class, who's got a fairly comfortable margin in hand at this stage.
This late in the race, all 3 of the GT1 cars certainly can see each other. The Saleen with the warmer of the tires, but these Michelin's coming.
Margin first to second in GT1, the Saleen behind them.
Got to take hats off to the Saleen guys. Not only did a great job of getting the pole, but a good pit stop. Really did a good job.
Well, the first stop in particular was superb. The second one was good. Watching O'Connell go by, your leader in GT2 from that onboard shot, looking back. Let's get back down to Calvin.
Down here in the Corvette camp, Olivier Beretta, one of the drivers in the number 4 car. I know you're excited on the racetrack, but I know your blood was pumping during that pit stop. A great job by the guys.
Yeah, I mean, the crew are unbelievable. They are very professional. They are very quick. They never give up. And they are incredible, this guy. I mean, the Corvette C6 is a very fast car. Today, I think, is a very good show. I mean, the Saleen has done a very good job. And, I mean, it's still 30 minutes to go. It's still long, but as soon the checker flag will be there. We'll be very happy, I think.
Very happy looking for 5 in a row here at Mosport Corvette. Let's see what the story is with the Saleens. Brian.
Calvin, the mood down at Simcoe has changed significantly with those pit stops from Corvette. We saw the last stop by the Saleen, and unfortunately, Johnny, I didn't know why you guys changed drivers, but when I saw you sitting over here, I realized why. You were driving hard, bud.
Yeah, they asked me how about 3/4 of the way through my stint if I could go to the end. And I said that's a negative, really. I mean, I could have gone to the end, but I knew that I needed to be absolutely on the ball. And I thought it's better to put Terry back in. He's had a rest, he's fresh, he's flying this weekend. And I thought it was better to have him at the end to take it to the Corvettes, but we've just lost the bloody lead in the pit stops, and I'm really annoyed because if I only could have dealt with the traffic, I lost a couple of laps, I lost about 2 seconds in traffic, and without that 2 seconds, we probably held on to the lead, so I'm really gutted after Terry driving like he did and me in that, just doing every lap was like a quali lap. I'm so disappointed for the team. I mean, we've given it everything against the might of GM. And we should have them worried. I hope we do.
Well, they definitely have them worried, and it is far from over. You heard him say Borchler is fresh, but they have taken the cool suits and everything out of that Saleen this weekend to be as light as they possibly can to take the battle to the boys at Corvette. That's exactly what they're doing, Greg.
Boy, you could see the anguish.
Yeah, he's whooped, man.
Oh, I tell you, and then to see that unfold, so it's very interesting. Butch Leitzinger, though, continues to lead. That's close as well.
It's about talent, sportsmanship, and fame. Only the best earn the title Speed Channel Driver of the Year. This quarter's nominees are Tony Stewart, Martin Truex Jr., Dennis Setzer, Eric Medlin, Sebastian Bourdais, Steve Kenser, Tony Kanaan, and Ryan Newman. Log on to speedtv.com now and cast your vote for Driver of the Quarter.
Yeah, make sure and log on and cast your vote. You may want to do a write-in vote for a guy named Butch Leitzinger, who has been just brilliant here in this latter part of this race with some unbelievable laps. And as a matter of fact, not long ago, the margin was 0.3 of a second. Over the course of 3-4 laps, it went up to about 1.5 seconds as Leitzinger was working very well. But now it is 3.5 seconds, and it all happened in one spot. There's Leitzinger heading down into Moss. Look what happens behind him.
Now, right here, the 10 car leaves room for a run up the inside, but I don't know why they didn't take it. gets balked instead. Here, you can a better view of it right here at the apex. He could have gone inside right here, but doesn't. And I don't understand that.
Yeah, why be shy now?
Yeah, it's too late to be shy. That's for sure. Anyway, that probably cost a half a second. Butch Leitzinger's got the hammer down. He's booking it.
Well, actually, Doris, I was watching the monitor. The next, I remember it was a second and a half. The next time by, it was 3.1. So it was almost well over a second that he lost. Right there, I would think. So it looks like right now, as a matter of fact, Butch Leitzinger got held up a little bit as Lato was made up a little bit of ground. I'm going to get a little of it. It'll be a give and take situation, but Butch is really putting some lap times in right now. It had gone to 3.5, and that last lap, as you said, Butch got balked a little bit, lost a second. I mean, it's all how you catch it a lot of the time.
It's where you catch him, too, because, I mean, some places you catch him, it's not that bad. But if you catch him in the S's, per se, you just can't pass him until you're done out of that sequence, and that sequence is a long segment of time.
20 minutes, just a little under 20 minutes remaining. Just watching JJ that time exit turn 3, he was leaving some pretty big black marks from those rear tires. So is that car going a little too loose?
Well, remember he put only the fronts on, so the rears have got a lot of miles on them, and they might be loosening up quite a bit now. And, you know, you leave those 2 black marks, that's wheel spin, no question about that.
Let's check in with Cal.
Here in the Dyson camp, James Weaver, I know everyone was pumped up here when you maintained the lead there with that great strategy call in maintaining the lead with not changing tires. Can he hang on, though, about an hour and a half on those tires?
It's going to, I imagine they're just starting to struggle a bit. But, you know, Butch is driving at his absolute best, absolute joy to watch. So I think he'll do it for us.
So here for a couple of days earlier in the week doing some Michelin tire testing, were you able to do long runs? Do you think it's feasible to have a good car at the end?
No, to be honest, we didn't have a very good test, and up until the race start, we've been here 4 days, still had no idea what we were doing.
Well, even though they got no idea what they're doing pretty good leading.
Yeah, well, they're guessing right fine now.
Well, Butch just did. You just saw Butch pass 4 cars, those 4 in question. He did it perfectly. He didn't slow him up at all. And that's those moves as a driver. When you're leading, you get those 4 cars between you. You can only hope then that Lato's going to get hung up by him. It doesn't look like he did. But that's the part you've done. You got to get by him cleanly.
Well, and that's the situation. 1, you do that by driving well ahead and kind of reading what's developing. But 2, sometimes you got to be a little patient, right? To back off, to set up
you know, no question about that. Butch saw that he could take all 4 by going around the outside. He did so, although I did see that the Viper had a moment there where he thought about it.
Yeah, he started to make a pass, but there's a guy coming by in a hurry here. Well, it was 2.4 last lap, or 2 laps ago. It's 2.9 for Leitzinger this time by. We'll see what happens at this stage, just to give you an idea of what the traffic's doing.
11.0
he was able to gain a 10
plus
in that one.
3.0.
Well, both these guys now, you know, now they're, I say this all the time, almost every race I say there's a point in the race where a driver knows that it's all throw caution to the wind, it's over with. It's right now. You know, they've got less than 20 minutes left to go in this race. Both of these guys are driving as hard as they possibly can. They're not going to take and be conservative anymore. When they get to traffic, they're going to slice and dice.
Did you see how close Lato got to the outside of turn 2? Almost got the tires off. Meanwhile, here is the number 23 of Timo Bernhard. It's up to 7th in class, but a long, long way back at this stage, obviously due to the problems that car had, Cal.
Indeed, Alex Job, I know you didn't want to see that 23 car in pit lane, a great battle all day long with the 31 machine. Ultimately, what was the problem with the Hyatt's entry?
Yeah, it appears that we had a broken wire on the alternator. So that caused our problem. It's real unfortunate. That's going to really hurt us in the championship. We're back to 7th now for the 23 cars. That's really going to hurt us. The 24 cars doing a great job. It's in 2nd. Hopefully you can bring that home to 2nd.
Timo just turned the fastest lap of the racing class. Looking at the track position right now, how feasible is it for him to actually gain some positions here before the end, Alex?
I don't think so. He's close to a lap behind the next position, so we're running out of time. But you never know.
You never know. And, of course, the big one is going to be Petit. Long race there. You got to finish that one, and bonus points on the cards also, Greg.
And for the people at home that don't understand what the alternator, why they have to stop is these Porsches have electronic power steering that takes a lot of amperage to run. The battery went dead, the power steering went dead. You can't drive it without that.
Yeah, Timo was struggling big time until he got that fixed. So it put him well in the back. But all that testing for a guy by the name of Ian Boss paying off as that car ready to bring home perhaps a second place. We are back to Mosport International Raceway. Less than 15 minutes remaining in this 8th round of the American Le Mans Series Championship chase. And you are watching Butch Leitzinger, who has driven a brilliant race at this stage. The margin 3.6 seconds last time by that he had over Leto, and he is working through a GT1 battle at this stage and trying to get up there. That is still relatively close. Oliver Gavin leads it. O'Connell second. Borchler, though, is closing it up and back in the hunt. Here is the leader in GT2, Patrick Long. And you look at Patrick Long and you look at Jörg Bergmeister, they are not the same size. And apparently, Dorsey, that's been creating a problem lately in the car for Pat.
Jörg Bergmeister, about 6'1" or 2. Patrick Long, I don't know how short he is. I'm not going to say short. I didn't say short, Patrick. Anyway, he's not as tall. Anyway, what's happening in the car is that the seat adjuster has come loose, and the seat is sliding forward and back. Patrick's got to keep pulling himself up. Look, there's the foot cam. You see him forward. Not only has he got to do a clutch and a brake and so forth, but he's got to get the seat back in position.
Dorsey, actually the seat is now slid all the way to the back and locked. So that's where Jörg Bergmeister at 6'5" would run it. Patrick Long at 5'8"-ish, 5'9", runs it one click off of the front adjustment, so he has had to slide down in the seat so he can actually reach the pedals. The problem with that, he can't see out the rearview mirror, so he doesn't know when traffic's coming.
And the other problem with that, while slid down in that position, Brian, as you would know, is that the seat belts are no longer tight around you, so you've got a lot of body movement, and that's not good.
You saying that I'm short, Dorsey?
I didn't mean it to sound that way.
Oh, well, I understand how you can take it that way. The other thing, too, that I would be a little concerned
Howdy's coming up behind you. Howdy, howdy.
So there you hear the team is being very, very good about telling Patrick what's happening behind him, who might be coming after. But the other issue is when you're extended like that, late in a race, heat, you've been in the car for a while, cramping, etc.
Well, right, you're using the muscles of your body to position to hold you in the position that you're in, not the seat belts or the seat anymore. That fatigues you even further, and then the visibility problem. You can't see out the rearview mirror because it's out of adjustment, nor can you change the rearview mirror. So it's not an easy deal.
The one thing that's working in Long's favor right now is the margin that he has over the second place car right now is looking pretty good. So he's slowed up by about 2.5 seconds a lap from what he was running when he was under pressure from the number 23 at this stage, but has the room to do it. We're going to step away for the last time prior to the checkered flag. We'll take you right to that checker when we come back. Nine minutes remain here at Mosport. Butch Leitzinger, the margin has been trimmed to 2.4 seconds. So traffic giveth, traffic taketh away, and Leto is on the fly once again. Leitzinger lost 2 seconds in that last lap of traffic. We go to GT1. Here is your third place car, Terry Borchler, and that is the second place car in the hands of Johnny O'Connell. The margin is gone, and Borchler has been throwing down some unbelievable laps. There's the leader right now, Ollie Gavin. And so the margin is about 3 seconds first to second, the two Corvettes, but from second to third, nothing there. Those are the intervals we're showing you right there. And as you watch Ollie Gavin swing into turn 9 here, coming up behind him is O'Connell and then Borchler, and Borchler has been throwing everything at this Dorsey.
Terry Borchler called his pit crew a lap ago and said, how long till it end? And they told him 9 minutes. You can do it. Terry's tired. He's really tired. This is the second stint in the car. He's been working really hard. He almost threw this car away coming on the pit straightaway. But watch here as he turns on the pit straightaway. He's going to get a massive oversteer. He's got pressure from behind by the overall leader. Here he goes. Hits the curb. Look at this. Big power slide. Gathers it up. Gets past. That's okay. But Terry's giving it all he's got right now. He's holding his breath for 8 more minutes.
Well, the Corvette, the number 3 entry, they've been talking on the radio, and it was kind of interesting. The margin was actually down. Oh, look at this. Can he get by? Oh, and he got balked, and that's going to hurt huge. He was able to sneak through. The 3 actually got held up a little bit, but now for Borchler, all that hard work, and that's traffic.
Dare I say this late in the race, that would not happen. I think the Porsche would have been going all right.
Keep it up, buddy. Keep it up.
Nice guy right now. You only got a few laps to get this job done.
Boy, what an development. Meanwhile, in the LMP2 division here, there is your leader, Clint Field. And since he's taken over at the wheel, he has done a brilliant job, but there is no question, Cal, the newcomer to that team was pretty impressive herself.
Yeah, Liz did a great job out there today. Liz, you never even got to drive the track until yesterday morning. This is a daunting place. How does it compare with anything in Europe?
I think this is probably one of the coolest tracks we've driven. It's so fast, just 3/4 of the circuit's practically flat out. It's really similar to a lot of the European tracks, but I don't think I've ever driven something that's this fast in such a quick car.
Liz doing a great job. Car after the Fire Road America seems to be performing flawlessly. Crew did a great job to get it ready.
Yeah, we've really got to thank our guys. They worked tirelessly to get this car here. I mean, it's only been 2 weeks, and the car looks brand new, and it's running just superbly today. So all credit to our team.
Well, fingers crossed. Hopefully, Clint can get it to the checkered flag and score his second win here at Mosport.
Well, she did a great job, and of course, Clint got back behind the wheel, and he has been just brilliant. Boy, he's coming alive as a driver in these last couple of years. Really impressive. Last year became the youngest guy to win at Le Mans in that great event. So that's something about Clint Field, and he's doing a brilliant job at this stage. Pretty comfortably out front right now, number 10 in the hand of Chris McMurray, and the number 8 and number 19 at that top early. They've gone back out, and they've been able to track on since then.
We watched this young man really mature as he came up from nowhere. You know, the young kid, you know, came in and with his father just progressed and progressed and progressed. And really he's become a man and does a great job behind the wheel of the race car.
Clint Field down into Moss, and keep in mind, this is a car that is basically by the rules, with the developing rules in ACO, the French governing body that really in a way works with this series in the ALMS. This is a car that is of the brand new spec, that new Lola, and so that's a car we're going to be seeing, I think, a lot of, and it can be run in the P1 class, but it is an exceptional P2 car, and we're seeing that demonstrated, I think, quite aptly this season.
This part of the race, nobody's got a huge enough lead that they don't have to worry about traffic. And traffic right now can really play into this whole.
Yeah, meanwhile, there's a look at the number 24. We were talking about that. Ian Boss, who comes from an open wheel background, and he got teamed up early in the season with Randy Popes. Then Randy is also running in the Speed World Challenge, and they decided that Randy was really needed to focus on that championship. They brought in Darren Law, and Darren and Ian spent a lot of time here, especially Ian early in the week, and Ian has just really come alive. Meanwhile, the number 10 in, and this is Chris McMurray bringing that Rockford Fosgate number 10 Miracle Motorsports Courage in, and kind of wondering why. It looks like the crew were not prepared at all for it.
No, nobody's in a hurry either.
At the back of the car, and that was just to put the air jack in. Looks like Calvin is there.
Well, the crew are looking over at the left front corner, so Chris McMurray must be talking about some kind of problem. The louvers are busted out. That shouldn't be a big issue. That's pretty common when you have a lot of pickup on a racetrack that just busts out. As Dorsey mentioned earlier, it turns into like a snowball and throws it through those louvers. But there's some kind of suspension issue. The good news is they're past the distance in the race. We're both driving the small corners. This team is leading the Drivers' Championship, so they can't see anything. They're going to fire it back
check it out. He said something went down.
Checkered flag is off.
Well, I wonder if he got offline, Calvin, at all, and got a lot of build-up or pickup on the tires, and he mistook that for having the entire problem, which is common occurrence.
Well, we're seeing all those holes in those louvers punch through, so obviously that's been an issue. I mean, that pickup, and it has certainly caught some other people out as well.
We talked about all that stuff out there. You know, it's a lot of big rock-sized rubber pieces come out. There's one right here. If I can just blast their way through the bottom.
And here come the Corvettes. There's your leader. They're second. And look at the Celine once again. Borchelor obviously able to reel him back in. And this battle, I don't know about for the win necessarily, but second is certainly up there.
Traffic, as I said before, is going to play into this. They got to get through these courses cleanly. Borchelor, you see him flashing the lights as a precautionary there. They're saying, all right, we're in a race, boys. We're coming through. Heads up.
There's the second place car in GT2, that 24 Porsche. keep in mind that red and black number 43 in the hands of Wolf Hensler is third in the class right now, and right behind him, the 51 that they just went by is the Panos and Moore. So that's a battle for position, so you got to tread very carefully there.
Brian Sellers right there got trapped, was trying to get him. He's trying to get him. Ran him down from behind, but then the Corvette split him up for a moment.
Boy, and Wolf just showing how smart he is. When both the Vet and the Celine went by, tucked right in behind him, got maybe that little bit of a toe, and was able to gap the Panos just a little bit out of there. Both a fairly savvy driver.
You can use these faster cars to your advantage. You see him coming, you time him, let him in front of you, dump in, get a little toe.
Tell you what, right now Johnny O'Connell looks in his mirrors and all he sees is silver. That is how close Borchler is. Coming after him right now, certainly was able to close up quite a bit in traffic. And now down to turn 2 here. Nobody in front will see just what's going on, free of traffic, at least for a little bit.
You can't imagine how good this is for the Assetto team.
You're doing great. Stay focused every lap.
That's your corner crew, man. That's getting you up. You're tired, you're all wore out, you're sweaty, you need somebody telling you, you're the man, you can get him. You're all yelling now.
Minute 15 to go.
That's really, I can tell you as a driver when you're tired how much help that is to have somebody rooting you on.
I remember you getting chatted up quite a bit when you were in Des Moines.
Yeah, I mean, you're just sitting there in the car dying.
He got a good jump there. He got loose leaving a little bit.
All right, next time Leitzinger goes by the flag stand, we're getting the report, white flag, 1 to go. And of course, he's around the track a bit from these guys. So Borchler may get this and another lap yet to try and do something. Here comes Butch.
Oh, and almost a correct back to one of the Panoses.
Oh.
51 is dead in the water. Brian Sellers, I believe. He might be out of fuel.
Boy, I'll tell you, they only have made one stop, but you would have thought, but of course, maybe a little bit thirstier with that V8. We'll have to see what the report is there, but Sellers has pulled over. Doesn't look like damage, no smoke, so maybe he just ran. We get the report now. It is fuel. They are out. Unbelievable. Meanwhile, Butch Leitzinger onto the front straight. White flag is out. 1 lap to go here in round 8. And Butch Leitzinger and this Dyson team, they come out, and that is long. Your GT2 leader is off, as is his left rear tire.
That's the end of the long straightaway turn 8. Patrick Long leading.
Really sorry, I was just cruising.
You're a dad. I'm really sorry I was just cruising. We'll see what happens.
Tire fell off. Wheel fell off.
There it is.
No doubt about it.
Drive it.
Unbelievable.
Bring it back.
I was wrong.
Completely gone. Drive it. Try to.
Don't forget, guys, they've lost 2 wheels already. The left rear had been a problem at Infineon and in Portland, so this is a reoccurring issue. Very rare that you see it this late in a stint now. Unbelievable.
Well, he can't drive. He told him, you heard him say, drive it, drive it. You see the brake rotor spinning there. That car's done for the day. Not on the last lap. Can you believe that?
Well, I'll tell you what, the 24 hours Joe car will maybe pick up the win. And for Bernhard and Dumas, what a gift late in the going. Meanwhile, what a brilliant performance by Butch Leitzinger. This will be win number 2 for the 16.
Way to go, Butch! Way to go! Way to go!
Butch gets that one done easily. The Corvette battle, though, here we go.
This is it. Again for second at this stage. And Borchler, boy, he needs help. He's close, but it's just not enough.
1 missed gear, though. That's all it takes.
That guy's still parked to the 1 side of 5 there. All right, nice and easy there. You're doing good.
Corvette's got the paddle shifters with the non-interrupt. They're not going to miss a gear.
Halfway down that mile-long winding straightaway. There's the crest of the hill. There's turn 8. Borchler's not close enough unless something happens with O'Connell. You can see Johnny make a lot of mistakes through turn 9.
All right, man. You did good, man. You did good. Sweet.
Another
way to go, Johnny boy, Johnny boy.
Another 1-2 for the vets. But what a performance by the Assetto Celine all weekend long. And here we go in GT2. Ian Boss, along with Darren Law, has worked at converting himself from an open-wheel driver to a sedan driver to a Porsche driver. And,
quit 1 lap earlier, we'd have done it. 1 lap earlier, Ian. Did a great job, buddy.
That was a confusing mistake. One lap earlier would have done it. We thought this was the lead car, the winning car.
He's at a crawl.
This car is not past the start-finish line yet.
Well, the question is here, was the 31 car far enough out front by a lap that
would be the only way that would make sense.
This is, oh, and the 24 has stopped as well. Maybe that's the story. The 24 maybe has run out of fuel on its own. Well, we'll sort this one out when we come back. But Butch Leitzinger, we know for a fact, has won it overall here at Mosport. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Mosport International Raceway, everybody. You are looking at Victory Circle, where the crowd is building at this stage right now. Here are the top 4 overall, and in P1, and it is Leitzinger and Weaver get the win. Let's get down to Victory Circle. Cal?
Well, the Dyson team are victorious for the 2nd year in a row, and we'll talk to Butch here. Butch, what a great day for you guys. I mean, it didn't look good when James in the tire wall there briefly, but a very brave call on strategy.
Yeah, they asked me whether I thought the tires should go to the finish, and I'm probably the last person they should be asking, really. You know, the pit stop was just fantastic. If we didn't get out in front of JJ, I don't know if we would have been able to get by him. So that was really the move of the race.
And James, I know it's an exciting race for you, the battle with Werner, and when you sat in the tire wall, did you think you had a chance at a win today?
I thought I made a mess of it again, but Butch drove absolutely brilliantly, so, you know, fantastic.
Congratulations, boys.
He dug me out of a hole.
You just saw evidence of how much these two guys mean to each other. Weaver was going to back out for a Leitzinger's interview, and Butch grabbed him and pulled him back in and said, no, we did this as a team. That's pretty special right there. Let's show you our Mobil 1 move of the race, folks. And this was it. That pit stop that they were alluding to, Leitzinger got in, got out, and right there accelerates away and was just able to hang on. There's the reaction. Look at Weaver. We did it. I can't believe it. And at that point, Butch drove like a man possessed, and the great J.J. Leto just didn't have it for him. So the points now in the LMP1 division, there you see it. Hero and Biela continue to lead. Wallace, Dyson, Leto, and Werner all tied, but Leitzinger and Weaver have joined that fight just a little bit. It's going to be interesting with 2 races to go, both of them paying bonus points. We'll be right back. Speed Channel's coverage of the American Le Mans Series is brought to you by High Endurance Oils from Mobil, the oil that's changing oil. By Porsche. Porsche, there is no substitute. And by Michelin, a better way forward. Welcome back, everybody. Let's take a look at our results in the LMP2 division. And once again, Clint Field, Liz Halliday. Second win for Halliday. It was a great ride, and Clint Field is with Krista in Victory Circle.
A great ride and sweet redemption. You guys at Road America had about as bad a day as you can have with the fire. You lose the points lead. What about today's performance?
It was good, you know. I mean, Liz lost the lead at the beginning, but she did a really good job keeping up with Jeff. So, you know, the crew just did an unbelievable job, like I said in the beginning, with getting the car together in about 2 weeks. But it was a good race. I got to thank Richard Barry from Richard Barry Exotics, and also I have to thank Goodyear, because they've done an awesome job all year coming to the track and helping us out and developing and everything. So we really appreciate that, and we'll go to Petit, hopefully follow up on this.
All right, it's the 4th win of the year for Clint Field in 37.
And this points battle is very interesting. Now only 2 points behind McMurray and Jeff Bucknam, who they had themselves an interesting race as well. Now let's take a look at the results in the GT1 category. And it was once again a Corvette sweep. Gavin and Beretta getting the win over Fellows and O'Connell, Borchler and Bolam so close. Cal?
5th win here at Mosport for the Corvette team, and Ollie Gavin, what a day. Great pit stop by the boys and a great out-lap by you also.
Well, you know, I have to take my hat off to everybody at the Compa West Chevrolet Corvette team. They did a brilliant job. All the boys on the 4 car did amazing pit stops. They were flying, absolutely blinding stuff. And then I got lucky on my outlap. I didn't get any traffic, and I pushed like hell. Nearly smacked the guardrail on the way out of the pits, but kept it all together and came out just in front of Johnny. And then the Celine was just coming just so quickly. And fortunately, I had Johnny in between me and it, so Johnny was having to do all the defending. And I just managed just to keep in front, but I think I I pushed quite hard on those first 10 laps. I knocked my front tyres out, and then it was tough after that. But just hung on to the end for the finish. It was just amazing stuff. Great race.
Hang on for the win, and it gives them the points lead, guys.
And you heard it, great stuff. And here is that current point scenario. So close. They are now leading in the points, but only by 1. And again, kudos to Molen, Borchler, and that entire Asemco team. They didn't get the win, but boy, were they players throughout. It was awesome. Now, here are the results in GT2, and there you see it. Long and Bergmeister in the 31 Porsche got the win. The reason they had a lap up on the 24 car. They completed 70% of the race. That's what the difference was. And so for the points, well, I'll tell you what, Brian, these guys have got to be grinning.
Well, they are grinning, Greg, but they're still surprised. Patrick Long walked in from the racetrack and said, I don't believe it. Look at the height difference. Now you know what Patrick was having to deal with that broken seat. Strange to be in victory lane with no car.
Stranger to be in your driving position in the car. I can't say there was a more wild stint in my whole career. With those laps to go, just saving the fuel, plenty of room out there. For some reason, something let go in the rear end. We're not sure what it is, but something really odd. But I have to say, my team did a great job on the pit stop, had us out in front by a few seconds, and I was just holding on, waiting to start a battle with Timo, and unfortunately, they had an incident.
Well, a few seconds is what paid off, guys. They had a lap, so they end up with the victory, and they now have the points lead in the championship. Greg?
It was that close, but I'll tell you what, the pace they set is what paid off. Here are the current point standings now. They are up by 12 over Dumas and Bernard, with Van Overbeek and Fogarty sitting in third. But boy, holding on, getting that lap lead, just the way things unfolded, that was huge. So that is your championship scenario right now. And the next race, a couple weeks away, but boy, is it a goodie. The Petit Le Mans, one of the great endurance races in the world right now. Saturday, October 1st, live coverage beginning, as I said, at 11 a.m. Eastern Time at Road Atlanta, a similar type of track, fast, high speed. It should be a barn burner.
Well, it's not over till it's over, so if you think this was a good one, wait till we get to Petit Le Mans. 10 hours of that kind of action. It's going to be a lot of fun. Some new cars we haven't seen in a while.
And let's not forget, because it is a long race, it pays bonus points. So there's opportunity here to make or lose much bigger chunks.
Well, that's true. I mean, the championship's at stake for some of these guys, but that racetrack and that race is special. Second only to Le Mans itself. Everybody will want to win that one.
And it should be a good one, and we expect to have a few more cars, perhaps Aston Martin coming back as well. Should be fascinating. Log on to AmericanLeMans.com for inside information on what's unfolding. It has been a fascinating race weekend here in Mosport. For Dorsey Schrader, for Calvin Fish, for Brian Till, I'm Greg Kramer. Thank you so much for joining us here north of the border, and we will see you at Petit. Until then, take care, everybody.